All right, gentlemen. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the Closing Acumen on today's uh, edition. Today is in the U.S. We celebrated at Columbus Day, and I want to welcome all of you, for to the Closing Acumen. The other team will be joining us shortly. They will be here. Tomalin George, Ben Sanvee, uh, Chris Guar, uh, uh, Lofa Julius, and all others will be joining us shortly. And then we will resume. Robert Garguah, Alex Jones will be joining us shortly for us to begin the closing acumen. If you are joining us by radio, we'd like to welcome you. Uh, YouTube, we say welcome. Facebook, welcome. And we already have a couple of folks that are joining us. Let me just welcome them. Myean Sharif, welcome, Myean. Helena Wilson, good evening, Helena. William David Double, welcome. James Coyote, welcome. We'd like to welcome all of you to the closing acumen today, and we're looking forward to have a great show, discuss a lot of stuff. The president is in Italy today. He spoke at the World Food Forum, and there is a lot going on within the Methodist Church in Liberia. Apparently, we're listening to the bishop today, who provided a clarification on what happened yesterday on the interruption at the church. Uh, 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 so there's a lot. There's a lot happening. We hope to touch and talk about that as well. But we'd like to welcome you. Let's just see if we can talk about some of the newspaper in Liberia, what it's saying today, and then we will get into some of the stuff, guys. If you guys can zoom it in, so we can see exactly. Okay, let's see what we can do. Full screen here. I don't know what I can see that either. I still can't see it. But what are some of the happening in Liberia? Uh, uh, let me go to the newspaper. I'm trying to put up here. Uh, okay. What is saying here? This is coming from the New Republic newspaper. It says Satan takes seat in the Methodist Church. Uh, as what same sex marriage rock causes tear. I don't know how true that is. Yeah, in the Methodist Church, that was clarified today by the bishop of the United Methodist Church. He claimed that the United Methodist Church of Liberia have not indulged any sexual homosexuality in terms of gay rights and gay marriage. The bishop said that today. He made it very clear that marriage license does not come from the church. It comes from the court. It comes from the collect office. So they did not issue any license for anybody to get married. Oh, put it back, man. Put it back here. For anybody to get married in Liberia. And I want to go by what the bishop said and believe it because he did explain it was somebody who was just blowing on things and just trying to mess up things. Okay, let's put the other one up, guys. Let's say LRA hit check part. Okay, independent. You want to put that up? Let's see. The independent newspaper. It say yeah, rebel minister suspended as homosexual wahala intensified in Methodist Church. Okay, they say what rebel minister suspended. So okay, Barca visit Rome. The president of the Republic of Liberia is in Rome, Italy. I watched him give a speech today on the Food Forum. He called on all the world leaders in order to get together and working on a call to solve the food crisis around the world. I listened to President Waka today. Could we? Yeah, let's keep it going. So uh, Okay, it says VP Combs seek effort to bridge electricity gap. Uh, Say that the vice president of Liberia was seeking effort. I don't know where, what country he's in, to bridge the electricity gap. I don't know. Well, I just want to share that with you. I don't know how. We're still suffering for electricity in that country. Liberians have not been able to enjoy it. 1 million with all our crew, 1 million with outsourcing, 1 million. I don't know what's going on when it comes to electricity, but that's it. And then they said Liberia, a permanent representative to the United Nations, take leave. Ms. Sarah Fania, she takes leave of the minister of her as ambassador to the United Nations. She just resigned. So then it's a UNDO strengthen small agribusiness capacity. President Barker hails Labor Minister Guar. And then 4 drug dealers sentenced to 10 years in Liberia. All right, drug dealers sentenced to jail 10 years. Well, I hope to stay there. So let's continue here. They say alleged Guinea coup plotter release denied. I don't know what that. LRA our what overcome US what 500 meter revenue collection. Wow. So Liberia should have a lot of money to pay people and do a lot of work if they can generate that amount of money in revenue. So and then Liberia loses United Nations Security Council seat. How did they lose it? I thought Liberia is going for 2026. I'll be interested to read that. But I'm going to look at the front page Africa. They probably have a better clarification. Can Liberia a full star link? President Barker executive order establishing National Railway Authority raises concerns amid the absence of major rail users. Who will pay, according to the front page Africa? So yeah, that's what we have going on, guys, in Liberia today. The national news that's taking place in Liberia today, guys. We can take that down on what's happening in the country today. But the panelists will be joining us soon. I'm not sure, but according to I'm not sure what is going on, but today I listened to the press conference from the Methodist Bishop, and he shared that this is not the case. What we're reporting, nobody can report anything about what happened at the Methodist Church. There were people lining up to guys lining up to get married. I think it's important. Sometimes we hear information and we just run with it, and that's one of the problems we have in that country. But the bishop made it very clear that he has suspended one of the pastors from that church. And while en route with the other pastor that he was going to install as the new pastor, toward the pastor show up. Okay, we got that. I just want to go by clip by clip. We can play part of it, but I know it's a long interview. Press conference. But we're just gonna go by the main point, and then we'll come back. If you guys can play it, let's do that, guy.
Yes. So it's my pleasure to welcome you to this press conference. Bishop, the press.
Right. Good afternoon to all, ladies and gentlemen of the press, and good afternoon to all United Methodists and all Christians in Liberia, as well as non-Christians, and to the entire citizenry of Liberia. The issue of same-sex marriage has been lingering on since we returned from our general conference that was held in the United States from April 23rd to May 3rd. When I returned to Liberia, or before I could come, I made a statement for all members of the church to remain calm, and then I also told them about the decisions that were taken at the general conference. When I returned in the country, I had a major press statement on June the 7th. And some of you who are here today from the various media institutions, from the print media, from the electronic media were here. Today, it behooves me as the bishop of the United Methodist Church to address you, members of the press, people called United Methodists, the Christian community, and citizens of Liberia. And I want to say here that as the United Methodist Bishop, that our church, the United Methodist Church in Liberia, is not a gay church, nor will it ever adopt such an identity. We, as members of the United Methodist Church in Liberia, we firmly uphold the definition of marriage as a sacred union between one man and one woman, nothing more and nothing less. This belief is deeply rooted in our interpretation of biblical teachings, our cultural values, and our shared commitment to upholding marriage as a union between a man and a woman. Yesterday, something happened in the Garguah area and the Peabody area between some of our local churches, the New Jersey United Methodist Church and the 72nd United Methodist Church. And there it was rumored that I, the bishop of the United Methodist Church, was going to perform same-sex marriage. And this kind of rumor spread throughout the whole of New Jersey and to some parts of Garguah. It also went to 72nd United Methodist Church. And people were agitating and a lot of things happened. So today, the Inspector General of the police, who happened to be a United Methodist, was concerned about the situation. So he called me. In fact, he called me before yesterday. He called me last week, and I told him that I was going to meet with him, with some members of the church, so that we could sit down as a church to discuss the issue. And today we met. We were in the meeting for almost 3 hours. After I excused the rest of the people and said, let us remain as United Methodists and discuss United Methodist issues. So today, we discussed as United Methodists that we are United Methodists and that the United Methodist Church is not a gay church. The United Methodist Church will never practice any gay weddings or ordain people who are gays. The IG also made it clear that the bishop, Bishop Samuel J. Quiet Jr., that I am not a gay bishop and will never subscribe to gay marriage. And so I have called you here so that to let you know that hereafter we don't want our members or anybody to get in the street and to say that the United Methodist Church is a gay church. We are not a gay church. This is something that is against the Constitution of this Republic of Liberia. Let me say this. The church does not license people to get married. It is the state that gives marriage licenses and certificates. And I want people to know that by the time you think about when somebody say, oh, they are performing same-sex marriage, well, then the first thing that should come to your mind is that, oh, is the government giving people license now to gays? So it is the government through the registry that gave license to people to get married. And the government or the registry will never give two men or two women any license to go and get married. So, dear United Methodists, this is our church. Enough is enough. We should stop the bickering and let us think about our church. And this issue is not disturbing only the United Methodist Church, but it goes straight through the Christian church, the Christian community. People are mocking, making jests at our United Methodist denomination. They say, oh, look at it. When you see people going, they say, look at the gay people that are going. And so today we want it to stop. That's why I called this press conference so that you can ask me questions and then we will answer.
All right, guys, let's stop there. And we'll come back. We'll come back to it. Tomalin, good to see you. Chris, good to see you. Tomalin, let's start with you. You are Methodist. The bishop acquired statement. Let's start with you, Tomalin. How you make up the bishop statement?
Well, first of all, let me say good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Good to see you, Grace. Good to see you, Dr. Peabody, and all our viewers. I will say that the bishop made it clear, and I want to say, I support what the bishop said. The bishop is clear that the Methodist Church in Liberia is not a gay church. It's not they will never practice same-sex marriage. They will never engage in such act. It's against our culture and our constitutional order in our country, and we'll stand by it. So I think his press conference today settles everything. What I saw going around during the weekend, technology, they AI stuff to do. They did something indicating the bishop was saying that they're going to engage in same-sex marriage and so forth, and people believe it. People ran with it, and they thought it was the bishop was really speaking in that term. But today's press conference, the bishop clarified it, and I think settled the score. I think we should move on. And it's a fact that in the United Methodist Church of Liberia is not a gay church, and it would not practice gay marriage and so forth. So anyone who's spreading that rumor, they should just stop it, because at the general conference in America, yeah, they came out with that. They accepted the general conference said that they were allowed to do it, but every region in the United Methodist Church had it. They were not forced to do it. They have to go by their own structure. And in Liberia, you and I know it's against our culture to do such a thing. So we stand, and the United Methodist Church stand by it, that they were not engaged in such a thing. So as a result, they just stop it. So the bishop clarified today. So we stand by the bishop, and I don't think we should continue even to carry it on further, because it's clear that we are not practicing in our country.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. Chris, welcome. You followed the conversation. One thing the bishop did say, he said that, which is very true. The church don't issue marriage license. It's issued by the state or issued by the city. I want to hear your input on that.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. I would like to say thank you for welcoming me to the platform. You can hear me, right? You can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Concerning this whole thing with the gay issue in Liberia, the first thing is that the pastor was very right when he said that the ceremony of marriage takes place in the church. The state is the one that gave the license to marry. So if the state is not giving license to marry, the ceremony in the church, I don't think is even anything. It's just a ceremony. But in the meanwhile, as somebody said, that whatsoever happened was like an AR kind of video thing that they made for this pastor. because they wanted to carry this narrative or this propaganda against the pastor concerning gay marriage. But in 2017, a group of African countries signed a joint statement at the United Nations advocating for protection of LGBTQ rights. So the statement presented during the United Nations Human Rights Council emphasized the importance of protecting rights of the individual regardless of their sexual orientation and gender identity. The countries that signed, like, bro, now I'm on those countries that signed. So I think I shared this thing in the chat room that Liberia did not agree to this or agreement with the United Nations in Africa to protect gays' rights in Liberia. They were not one of the countries that signed. Other countries signed, Liberia were not among them. And Liberia went to another meeting concerning this whole gay right thing. And they asked them whether they could sign for to sponsor the declaration in abstention of LGBTQ rights in the General Assembly, the UNHRC. Liberia abstained itself from that signature as well. So right now in Liberia, when we're going by law, there is no gay rights in Liberia. Whether it is good for them to do that, I cannot be the one to say that. I don't even know how to embrace this whole thing, to tell you the truth. This is just like something just so sensitive to everybody that you don't even know what to say. But Liberia don't have any signature to any declaration for gay rights in the country. Our culture don't permit that behavior until the government or the transition leaders can see a fit to actually come together and agree on this. Right now, gays are not protected in Liberia. They are not. So the pastor, I will side with him. The church is just a ceremonial place of marriage. They don't have right to give license to gay partners or even to the regular man and woman partners in the country. The state has the right to do that. As far as he is saying that he's concerned, they are not going to marry gay people all in the church. And I mean, so be it.
Yes, again, I think what we have to be careful about is that people can just come up and say something, and then everybody run with it. It could have been worse at that church yesterday. They could have burned that church down. They could have caused vandalism and other things for something that is not true. You know, there's no marriage that was taking place. In part of the interview, the bishop talked about a suspended pastor who was suspended and showed up in the church yesterday, and the people asked him to go, and bishop said why he was going to install the new pastor that will be taking over. That when this guy blew up this story and they started going with the gate thing, and then everybody started running, coming this and that. Well, up even getting the facts. I think the bishop made it clear. I think people need not to bother the men of the church in Liberia. In Liberia, they need not to bother them. The bishop made it very clear. So you should be holding your government, if that was true, for issuing a marriage license. If that was true, the church will not issue it if the government not issue it. So we want to show that the story yesterday was totally fake and stuff, and people just got it and started and running with it. I don't think that was true. People were just acting other sentiments, other stories that were totally fabricated, that was not true. And then the just blew it up, and our people, as less busy as they were, they all started running, going there and listening to people talking all kinds of stuff. But I think I like what the bishop did today, coming up and clarify what happened yesterday. We have Anthony Arthur Jackson joining us as well today. So, Tony, back to you. Let me make this clear. Yesterday, I bet one of our strongest viewers. She said, "Look, let me tell you, please convey this message to the closing acumen. A lot of us watching. You won't see us on, but we are watching. Can there be order when people talking and let's give the other people a chance to talk? He said you'll have a lot of people that are watching this show, prominent people, but she said, please, Peabody, please convey to your boys that we want to make sure that we listing and get all the information that is being you guys are trying to give us and give them chance to speak. Your panelists chance to speak. So I told her, well noted, and I will take it to them. I'll let them know, and we probably can learn from that. Good, honest criticism, But tell me now, you take over. I was just running with that story for the check. Back to you, Tomalin.
About it, thank you. Welcome, Attorney Isaac Jackson Jr. We got a lot of topics to run on tonight. I hope we can have time to do it. Like some of the topics we'll be talking tonight about amid public outcry about President Boyka's excessive international travels. Speaker Fonadikova has come in defense of the Liberian chief executive. We'll discuss about that. That's what's trending today, about the speaker defending the president international travel. Also, Senator Dillon also is in the news. He says President Boyka in action to dismiss or suspend government officials who failed to declare their assets justify support for the officials' action against transparency. Liberian Revenue Authority has collected $513.8 billion increase in the revenue generation, and then the Supreme Court Hott's eviction against the CDC. So hope we can find time to discuss the issues today. But we'll pick our comments first, then we can go down the line. So we'll start. Attorney Jackson, welcome, and we'll just go straight into the program, and we'll start with
thank you very kindly. It's been quite a long time since I was last here, and I'd like to greet all of you with all the love and emphasis at my command. I haven't seen the doctor for a while, Reverend Dr. Peabody, my darling sister, and you, Tomalin. I'm sure we have a passing conversation last evening, Tomalin. Yes, but I'm happy to again be on the show to be speaking with you and to extend hearty greetings to Liberians that are following the broadcast.
Good. So let's start with Grace on this issue about the speaker remarks he made at the Association of Liberian Journalists Association in the Americas. You were the guest speaker. People are accusing the speaker of defending the president. Some people say the speaker was just speaking his mind, was just being objective. But what do you say to it, Grace?
Well, I don't know why the speaker felt the need to actually defend the president's travels, but then he was contradicting himself in the statement that he made. I will just read a statement here quickly, although the closing argument people wrote it.
Let me get a bottle of water quick.
I think it was for Ben. I said Justin. I think it was, but he said that the criticism of the president and his travel do not make sense, adding that a fragile country with limited capital and external dependence, which according to him makes any leader that would be a chief salesman of the country. The thing is that if the country has limited capital and the country don't have money, this president, we are in the 21st century. I can sit down here and call Tomalin here myself and have a normal conversation here on Zoom or on FaceTime. And it's like I see Tomalin and we communicating. So why is it this country don't have money, limited resources, dependent on everything? The country is a begging country.
I'm not getting Sister Grace clearly.
You're not getting me? Oh, you frozen?
Guys, she's loud and clear.
I think it's him, yeah.
Yeah, maybe you should go and come back.
Go on and come back.
Yeah.
So for the president to be taking the limited resources that we have in the country and using it to travel with a bucket full of people on each flight, or they're running business class and having hotel or money to stay in the hotel for days in these 5-star hotels. No cheap money when you're traveling like that. So I don't understand if he has to do salesman work because most of the people that are doing sales work now, they're doing it from home. You can still schedule meetings and meet with leaders online, and once in a while you can make an appearance. But the power the president is traveling on a regular basis is taking away from the country money that will help the country develop in a certain aspect. So far he just contradicted himself. The country poor, then the man using the small money we got to travel. So I don't understand that part. I don't think the president should be making these kind of travels. There are too many. He should have a scheduled travel in a year. His focus should be on developing the country at this point in time.
Okay, Grace, let me say this. I agree with the people. People are telling me that I should tell you that you're looking like a queen. You look so, yeah. So, but I agree too. I think, yeah, you look like a queen, Grace, for true. But but with that in mind, but Grace, I would play devil advocate. I would disagree with you too, in a sense that I think the speaker was. I think the president's travel to all the country frequently. I think he's looking for support for the country. He feels that he has to carry on his mandate. They need jobs, they need investment to come in the country. So he had made, I think, 10 trips already, I think. And he's in Italy now, where he addressed the Food Agriculture Organization today. So maybe Peabody and Grace, you guys, before the attorney can come on that issue, I want to say that maybe the speaker was right to defend the president. What do you guys think?
I don't think the speaker was right before Peabody come in. I don't understand how this man travels. Is not bringing in the real, like you have to compare. What is he bringing back to the country? What are the tangibles that are coming into the country than the travels that he's making? If we start to count budget and money that's being spent, what is like we're benefiting from these struggles? What I don't get it. So far in the 9 months, I have seen like we're benefiting nothing much from this president. So I don't agree with the travels.
Peabody?
Okay, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. The president has been in power for 9 months. But my concern here is traveling. The other day he was in the States and say he was advocating for Liberia he had to come to the United Nations General Assembly. But that trip could have been send the vice president or send the foreign minister to represent in Italy. What does Liberia benefit from President Guar coming and speaking to a few handful of people? I looked in that hall. I didn't see any other world leader there. So what does Liberia benefit from there? Bringing people that are not without any significant contribution. What does the National Port Authority Managing Director have to do with the world food for to be on the trip with the vice president? You're bringing people, and there's nothing significant. So I think the reason I'm saying this is because President Barker complained about this when President Weah was president. He complained heavily that President Weah is always gone. He's out of the country all day. He was one of those who complained heavily. And now he's doing the same old thing. But trip like this, you could say, you know what? I will send the agriculture minister and the vice president, or I will send the foreign minister, the agriculture minister to represent me. I don't have to go all the time because you realize if the president travel, he travel with heavy delegation. If you have sent one or two officials, then you won't have that large entourage. Well, Liberia have to spend almost $200,000 to $300,000 on travel. That's my input.
Well, but don't forget though, the trip to Italy, is a one in a lifetime. The president will be meeting the Pope on the 18th. So everyone want to meet the Pope, so that's why that trip to Italy, one of the things is important to prioritize that trip. Even the speaker is the highest Catholic elected official in the country. The speaker, I think he's already in Italy. He'll be meeting the Pope too, as a Catholic too. So they're all there. And that's one of the things people meeting the Pope is. I think if I'm mistaken, I think our friend here on the set, Isaac Jackson, you saw him when he met the Queen Elizabeth.
But Isaac was representative to the IMO.
I agree. He met the Queen, so that was a big thing there to meet the Queen.
So he was one of the few ambassador representatives to the IMO.
Man, he gave a letter of credence to the Queen before she died. So that's a big thing. The man will carry down on his resume for a long time. But, so I think the speaker, the president, all in Italy, and after that, he's meeting the Pope on the 18th of this month. So, but let's hear from Anthony Jackson about his. I know he was very critical too about the speaker remarks. Let's hear from him.
You said something that I think is inaccurate that I need to clarify, but I thank you for allowing me to come on. I did not present letters of credence to Her Majesty, the late Queen Elizabeth II. I was selected among members of the IMO 178 member states represent the IMO. I was among few individuals that was selected to meet with Her Majesty the Queen. I think it was because of our performance on the floor. The Secretary General then, Tomalin, thought it fit for us to hold this conversation with Her Majesty the Queen when the IMO was celebrating its 70th anniversary. You know, the reason for which you invited me and the many other topics, I like to say as a disclaimer, Kofa is my brother. Councillor Kofa and I come a very long way. And I love him like a brother. However, it is important to spread on this record that I am displeased with Councillor Kofa and Speaker of the National Legislature blurring the line of distinction between the branches of the government. I think Liberia democracy is incracy when the head of the legislative branch of the government debases himself or relegates himself to serving as a presidential spokesperson. That is downright disgraceful. It is not the place of the speaker to serve as a presidential spokesperson. He should never have debased himself in the manner in which he did. Mind you, the speaker comes from the opposition belt or the opposition community. The role of the opposition in any functioning democracy is to the speaker, who is supposed to hold the executive accountable, is now providing vain and useless justification for the president, many fruitless travels. Liberia will never be developed if people who are supposed to have backbone bend their knees and try to curry favor. How would that be? The justification provided by the speaker is just shameless. I can give you a shining example why I think the speaker was wrong. President Magufuli of Tanzania is one of the best examples in recent times of an African leader who disciplined himself and his cabinet. And by virtue of his discipline, he developed Tanzania, that East African country. When Magufuli became president, the first executive order he issued was to ban travels, ministerial travels. Magufuli used the money that was generated by ministers staying home. He himself, for the first time in the history of that country, the president said, because we have financial challenges, we will not celebrate Independence Day. Because we have financial challenges, the money we normally waste to celebrate Independence Day, I will use it to build more bridges. That's Magufuli. He said, I will not even attend the United Nations General Assembly, as critical as that was. He said that money we often use to go to General Assembly, we will use it to build schools. Today, the country that the speaker comes from cries for development. And he is encouraging the president to be flying all over the place like birds, when in this day and age, some of these meetings were being held via Zoom. I was at the IMO when COVID started. Some of the critical meetings we had to have at the IMO, we did them via Zoom. Why are we putting this 80-year-old man in the plane with 30 pressing delegation, 40 60? Why do we have this huge delegation followed behind the president to achieve zero? So Speaker Kofa is wrong. First thing, to provide this justification, new president, it doesn't have to travel all over the place or put his face on everything. No, Makafuli is an example. When he became president, he was not flying all over the place. In fact, he shut down the cabinet. He raised money by not traveling, by officials of the government not traveling. The second thing Speaker Kofa is wrong about is that he's missing the bigger argument the Liberian people are making. Is it assuming that even if the president had a compelling need to travel, does he have to carry a large number of delegation behind him? That's what the Liberian people are saying. So Kofa, who is an opposition leader, is Kofa who represents the legislature, the speaker of the legislature, who is supposed to hold the executive accountable, is giving the president free passes. I think this is inelegant. I think he's betraying the opposition community. Yeah, the CDC that brought him to this position. Nobody should do this. Nobody should provide any justification for the president's numerous fruitless visits. Because, brother, if we need money, we got to manage the one we got now. We can't spend all the money on officials of government just flying to see places. So many places are just sightseeing mission going on. It's not bringing any serious return to the country. I would have expected that Speaker Kofa will be encouraging the president to cut down the travel.
We want to welcome Professor Kennedy. Welcome, Professor Kennedy.
Yes, sir. How are you doing, Chief?
Great. Yeah. Maybe you can just, while Jackson's having problems, so you can just weigh in on this.
Sorry, my internet. My internet went down. But just to conclude, other people will come in.
Yeah.
I've just pointed to you that our democracy is supposed to be strengthened when we respect the separations of power, and the president, the speaker cannot debase himself to serve a presidential spokesperson. I've given you an example of President Makafuli. In fact, when he talked, because he banned all the foreign travel, because he even stopped the celebrations of the Independence Day. In fact, for the Independence Day, Makafuli said, let's do clean up. If Liberia is supposed to do something differently, we got to follow good examples. Makafuli announced clean up. The capital city, Monrovia, is oozing with real geodeck that is becoming a health hazard. The president is even focusing on how we clean the city. He all over the place. They're flying around, brother. I think Kofa, I respect Kofa. I love him like a brother. But I think he slapped the CDC in the face as an opposition speaker when he started to provide justification for the president's visit. I think he undermined the CDC standing when he tried to debase himself, relegate himself to presidential spokesperson. The executive has 3 organs that perform the communicative function for that executive. They have the Ministry of Information, they have the press secretary, and they have my friend at LBS. Why is Kofa reducing himself to clarifying things or trying to speak for the press? Look, I thought what Kofa would have done on this his visit is to explain to the Liberian people. Today, go to Kenya. Kenya vice president is being impeached for 2 reasons: enriching himself, and what they say, he's steering tribal division. Boaka is violating Article 5 of the Liberian Constitution that says the government, the executive, should not promote tribalism. Are we talking about impeaching him? We glorify him and justify his action. Article 18 of the Liberian Constitution is being violated in broad daylight. Article 18 says you should not do employment discrimination. People are being dismissed because they're associated with CDC. Why is the speaker not concerned about this? The tenure law of the country violated in broad daylight. The Supreme Court expressed itself on it. The speaker is not appalled by this. Article 34 of the Constitution violated by the president when he brought in yellow machine. We are today talking about the president even violating the PFN law when he carries on off budget spending. The president is trying to buy $1 million bulletproof Jeep outside the budget. It's a violation of the PFN law. It's unlawful. Why is Kofa not appalled by these things? Why is he not exercising leadership for us to be having a serious conversation regarding impeaching the president? Why is he not doing it? Why is he the one now that's supposed to be usurping Mama, how do you call it? Kula Fofana role? Why is he usurping Kula Fofana role? Why is he usurping the role of my friend Jeremy Matthew Pia? Are they proving themselves to be incompetent? I mean, it's a shame that the speaker would do this. This is how much I can say at this point. If you give me another chance, I can come in. But I think the president has done too many wrongs, too many violations of our democratic constitution that the president, the speaker should be appalled by. And he's basically not doing anything. The legislature is just impassive. And I don't think our democracy would be strengthened if we have a speaker that is doing effectively debating for the president. No, the speaker should be holding the executive accountable. That's the role of the speaker. That's the role of the national legislature. Hold the executive accountable. I just on top of my head, I just giving you violations of the constitution that Kofa and myself agree upon. Kofa is a senior brother. I know Kofa. He knows the law. Wrong for president to violate Article 34 of the Constitution. Article 34 of the Constitution says there got to be legislative enactment before the people can negotiate anything on behalf of the country. President brought in 30 yellow machine. Article 21B of the Constitution says you cannot zoom in, you cannot violate the sanctity of anybody private property without such warrant. They zoom in on the headquarters of the party that Kofa belongs to. He was not angry. Without any such warrant, Article 21B of the Liberian Constitution says you can't do this. The CDC headquarters were violated when police people zoomed in that place without such warrant. Kofa still not angry. Article 5 says you can't promote tribalism. LRA, the guy who there from Lofa. Central Bank, the man who there from Lofa, Bwaka nephew. Finance Ministry, the guy who there from Lofa. The military is today headed by a guy from Lofa, and Bwaka is effectively tribalizing the military. He has decided to exercise the military. You go to foreign affairs, you go to how you call the place? Internal affairs, Lofa, all across the government. Don't take it from me. Go there and check. Center say the Bwaka is tribalizing the governance system of the country. Why is Kofa not appalled by these things? Why is he trying to reduce instead of being presidential spokesperson? I'm getting embarrassed for my brother Kofa. I love him, but we got to tell you the truth. It's about Liberian democracy. If we honor the democratic culture of our country, tomorrow all will be held liable. And I think Kofa should do better than this. I think he should do better than this.
Okay, let's make progress. I think we have. I think that everybody had get their views on the speaker remarks over the weekend, and except Grace or Peabody guys going to say. If not, we'll move on to.
Well, look, let me say this.
Okay.
I know Attorney Jackson spoke, but my position here is I think the speaker is in a very tight spot, and he's trying to balance both, working with the current leadership and working, with his party. But I think what he needs to do is to reach out more, consult more with his opposition group, and then on certain things, on certain action that he'll be taking. But I think he's in a very tight spot. You can't be more opposing to the president. You want things to go, you want things to happen. So you got to balance it on both sides. That's what I think.
Somebody, can I come in?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't understand why people say the speaker is in a tight spot. When it comes to Liberia, there is no tight spot. Doing the right thing is just to do the right thing. There is no if and but that. So I don't understand how the speaker is in in a tight spot. It's not adding up to maybe the people voted him in that position to be able to deliver in that position. He's the speaker of the house. He takes the third place in the country. So if you coming to be a pressing God now to the president, we don't understand. That's the reason why the last budget passed. He was part of that thing, and that was fraud. So it's not people Liberian people. So we don't like what is going on. And I like the way Asa Jackson lay on, and that's the reason why I never had anything to say. But I don't want us to find excuses for these people in government because there is no excuse there. Liberia is in a place where they need to be things need to be done, and need to be done the right way. And we need people in positions like that to stand up and do the right thing. Although rescue mission to the rescue the people, those CDC government too, they have a lot of cool people in power. So this government is doing the same thing. So CDC and UP, they are like 6 and 7. These people are family members. They are conjunct twins. They do everything together. And that's the reason why Liberian people need to change them from power totally and bring new group of people in.
Well, let me say this.
I agree with Anthony Jackson. When it comes to tribalism, this is nothing new. Waka, those are the direction he had walked in the past. And that's why we're saying that. So there shouldn't be anything new when it comes to tribalism with Waka in Liberia. Waka is known for that. He's known for tribalism. And that's why you see from day one, he had a plan. He knew what he was going to do. Anybody told you about the blue book or yellow book he had in that book where he listed everything, and we are seeing it coming out one by one. Because even in his inauguration day, if you listen to the speech he was giving, he was listing how he grew up in this and how they treated him, how he was able to do farm or cook people food, bringing in that travel in his speech until unfortunately he was not too well. I mean, the sun was too hot, and what happened. But this shouldn't be surprising to you because he comes in and take all the key areas, the military, the finance ministry, the central bank, all the revenue generating area, all the financial area. He give it all to his clansmen. That should be a warning sign. I think I'm right. I support Anthony Jackson.
Yeah, but before we bring Professor, let me just say something quickly though. For the speaker's defense, the speaker is in a tight spot. Don't forget now, in the legislature, the House, he did it with 3 blocks. He has 15 senators called themselves the independent bloc. The rescue group called themselves the rescue bloc, and the CDC bloc. So he has to satisfy these 3 blocks: the of representatives, the independent bloc, and also the CDC bloc, where he's from. So maybe his choice of words that on Saturday about coming to this strong defense of the president, I think maybe I would say he should have been silent, left it so. Should not say anything about defending the president travels. But honestly, in a situation where you're dealing with 3 blocks, the independent bloc, 15 representatives, the CDC bloc, and the rescue bloc. So I think Yalla's also gained some leeway. But yeah, from the professor on that issue quickly. Yeah,
maybe I will come back later on to respond to some of the things you said. I will yield to the professor. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks so much, Chief. And it's always nice to see Attorney Isaac Jackson on this show. He brings a lot of experience. He brings a lot of fire. He brings a lot of passion. So he keeps like we say over here, he keeps it real. But I'll tell you, man, look, the speaker is doing what politicians, no matter where you find yourself in this world, politicians will always look out for number one, and that's themselves. It's kind of funny how when the speaker was over in Pennsylvania at the town hall and people were asking him about issues in Liberia, and the way he was responding, you would think that he wasn't speaker in a country where it's like he was experiencing an out-of-body thing, because he was criticizing the government that he is a part of, which was so weird. It was bizarre. He was talking as if this is not the government where he is the speaker of. So I found it strange that he was giving answers to all of the issues on governance, all of the issues on corruption, all of the issues on the excessive spending from the executive side. He was justifying it by criticizing the government, which he is a part of. So, you have to look at politicians, you have to take them for what they're saying with a grain of salt. You can't take it for real, because they're only looking out for themselves and looking out until the next election. Because at that town hall, the speaker also said he is a diehard seditious, although he was giving responses for the benefit of the current administration, but he was saying he was a diehard seditious, and George Manaware was his standard bearer, or was going to be the standard bearer come 2029. So they would say things based on where they find themselves. Always the case. In terms of traveling, Madam Sirleaf she set the standards when it came to traveling. Because before Madam Sirleaf, Taylor couldn't travel at that level because of some of the issues he was having. Joe couldn't travel at that level, even though he did some traveling because of the issues he had. But Matter Salif set the standards for traveling for two reasons. Number one, they were in a program. Liberia has no credit, so Liberia cannot go out and borrow money. Liberia can only raise money through concession agreement or from the World Bank or from the IMF. So when they enter the ECF program, they can only raise money through concession agreements. So you have to travel and make concessions with all of these different countries and stuff that's looking for raw materials. You have to understand why they're doing what it is they're doing. They're doing it, but you see, here's the crazy thing. The president doesn't need to go on these trips. No way, no shape, no form does the president needs to go. If you're discussing agriculture, send your agriculture minister and the commerce minister. Those are the only two people you need. The commerce ministry is the gateway to doing business in the country. And since you're looking at a direct sector like agriculture, you send the agriculture minister. Hopefully he has the requisite experience to discuss agriculture. If you're discussing something related to mining, you send someone from Lands and Mines, or you send someone who has that experience, again, with the commerce minister. Why the president takes these trips is beyond me. But here's the thing. Let me say this before I pass it back to you guys. They do not disclose how much money they are spending per trip. They will never disclose how much money they are spending per trip. You know why? Because it will create chaos at home. When the people start seeing how much money these guys are spending per trip. We know it's not free, right? We know there's no such thing as a free good. But this is the same reason why on Friday, when the IMF published the report on Liberia, because Liberia just entered a new ECF program. You know, they entered a new ECF program where I think it's a 40-month loan program they just entered. That 40-month loan program means they can only borrow money again on concession agreements. But in that document, the IMF criticized Liberia for poor governance, for people stepping on other people's toes in different ministries. But look, let me close on this. They need to publish, if you want to be transparent, please publish how much each trip is costing. And then after a period of 6 months or so, let's revisit it and see what the benefits were. If the benefits outweigh the cost, let's do a cost-benefit analysis. They will never do it. They will never do it. That's why we're in the position we find ourselves with the population increasing, 4 children per female, while the job creation is going down. So we're putting more people in poverty right now, and a lot of that money that could be used for education, for agriculture, for sanitation, that money is going to frivolous trips that shouldn't be on the back of the taxpayers. So it's a joke. That's why Liberia remains a top 10 poor country. It's a joke. No good governance.
Wait, guys, please. I want to. Why we got it? 1 minute. Why we got it? The professor on. Somebody. I mean, I will need to ask him. I want to press him on this issue quickly before the professor. You know, won't get him. His time is limited, so we got to make sure we get him all questioning. But Professor Kennedy, the Liberian Revenue Authority has collected US $513.8 million, 74% of its target as of September 30, 2024. Marking a 12% increase from last year. So how do you reconcile that with the IMF or report on Liberia and Liberia getting into this new program?
So two things real quick as it relates to that. Yeah, real quick. Number one, we know that almost 90 to 91% of the revenue being collected is going to recurrent expenditures with very little going to development. So that's a complete wash right there. Complete wash. The other part is that the money that we're raising from the revenue, it is still not enough. It's just a fraction of what Liberia really, really needs. It's a fraction. It's a great thing that we're able to increase the revenue year over year. It shows a little bit of progress, but it is still a drop in the bucket compared to the fact that the population is growing far faster than the revenue is increasing. So here's the thing, Chief. Let me close on this real quick. What good is it having an increase in revenue if you're going to have an increase in spending? If you're having an increase in revenue with an increase in wasteful spending, you're wasting your time. You're going up. In fact, Chief, it is also in the IMF report that the government was increasing revenue at the same time they were also increasing spending. This is one reason why they end up with either a recast budget, they end up with budget shortfall. But tell you what, come February or March of next year, the central bank is going to publish the performance of the budget, and we will see if they're going to either balance the budget, have a surplus, or we're going to have a major budget shortfall again. So the revenue is great, but let's look also at the spending. Did the spending increase? So they told you that the revenue has increased, but did they tell you that the expenses are also increased? Which means there's very little left towards investment in the capital improvements we need to make the country move forward.
Welcome, Honorable Representative Hassan Musa Hassan Bilete. Welcome. Lofa.
Thank you, guys. Good evening to everybody.
Yes, good.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Oh, as a chairman emeritus, I think you are taking a different route without any notice to me, brother. But we haven't talked that one outside here.
Hey, man, you're gonna make me sleep. I know you forgive me.
Yeah, no problem, brother. Go ahead.
Yes, Lofa, you want to weigh in on the speaker remarks, then go to the honorable before we.
Sure. Yeah, good to be on here. Good evening, everybody. I like the fact that Professor Larry actually gave detailed reason as to why the wasteful spending continued. Speaker Kofa, I don't expect to hear anything more from him, considering his past records, and I'm going to say that. So, it's just what it is that we are hearing. This is a continuous process when it comes to governance in Liberia. We don't have separation of power. It appears as though the executive controls almost everything about it when it's supposed to be the other way around. There should be independence in the governance structure, even though they're supposed to collaborate to some extent. But that is not what is happening in Liberia. The wasteful spending on the part of President Boakai, everybody should think about it. If you look at what is happening, what is our return? I'll continue to say this. Without a finance background, I understand that I am much more focused on the return on our investment. In this modern dispensation, when you're opportune to have technology at your disposal, why are you being so wasteful to travel as much as you do? And Professor Larry mentioned something that we rarely hear or see happening. We are not told how much is spent on these travels. President Boycott would travel with 200,000 delegates. Remember, I'm just overly exaggerating for the fact that we're not getting anything in return. But you want to, and then Speaker Kofa wants to justify that. You know how much money could have gone to JFK? With lack of medications at the JFK. You know how much money could have been invested in the education system? Poor education, the quality of education that is provided to the young people. We are also struggling with security. Now we have to deal with the issue of drugs. And here we're talking about a president who initially said he actually put in the budget a limited amount because he had no desire to do all of the traveling. What does that tell me? That tells me that those he's hiring to work for him are incompetent. Because if you cannot rely on your agriculture minister to go and represent you in that area, to make the case for you, simply because you were actually invited individually, that tells me that you don't believe in his capacity to produce. So you brought him in as just an opportunity to fill in space. And that's why you are going yourself. So what's the point of wasting money having to bring him on board to serve as an agriculture minister when you yourself, you have to take all of these wasteful trips and then come back and tell us that, okay, we signed another MOU. So I think in my honest view, The speaker is out of line, trying to defend the continuous wasteful spending and the disregard for the fact that our people live in abject poverty, because it is a continuous circle and they don't give a darn how our people live, how our people continue to complain. And that is what they are about. If you were to listen to OKFM today, and I close on this note, the folks in the Southeast, they were complaining about the road condition. This is something that President Boycott promised in about 100 days. He will have solved. The people in the Southeast were complaining. Bag of rice is about $4,000, a little bit over. Transportation from one part of that town to another part is almost like, what, $15,000, $16,000. Never been there before, never experienced a trip before. But the reality becomes the fact that most of our legislators, as I will reference them, don't care. They are only protecting themselves. Thank you.
Okay, let's bring Chairman Bealded in, then we'll go back to Attorney Jackson. Chairman Bealded, you've been following the conversation, you've been following everything. What I want you to chime in here and just share with us what you think about this whole thing. The report, the speaker is defending the president travel and the president traveling to Italy. What? I want you to come in and chime in here, Chairman.
Well, for me, I set I assume that different people are setting different standards by which they measure the government, and I can, based on what the speaker is saying, he apparently has a different barometer that he wants to use to assess the government. But I totally and absolutely disagree with him. While I respect his right to say, like I said 3-4 months ago, that I will wait for the government to reach a certain period for me to give my assessment. I think at that time I was saying 6 months or something. After the 100-day on the show, I was insisting that 100-day was short. But I disagree with the speaker. Where we are today, in my mind, it's like we do not have a government. You know, you see, the president can travel 1,000 times. That's fine. I don't have any problem with it. But as a country, if the president travel has no direction, has no objective, has no goal set, nothing to show for it, that's not something to praise. I disagree with that. You see, you cannot take the frequency of the president trade to say, you know, that's why it is wrong or that's why it is right. All of us were in this country when Ellen Johnson became president. I don't think any president would travel equal to Ellen Johnson's salary. Why everything may not have been okay, but during that first term, it was clear that she was making all effort to bring Liberia back into the Committee of Nations. That was clear. You could see that goal, what the meetings were for, what impact those meetings have. Today, I have not found one visit of the president that have any direct impact on what comes back to the country. And you know, it's not just to say because I'm assessing it. Even the government itself is not saying anything about it. You know, we've taken governance to be a joke in our country now. And we've taken it to be a joke in such a way that it is okay for president to travel with 50 people, 25 people, with no explanation. But again, everybody on the show will come and hit at lawmaker for getting $45,000 for vehicle for 3 years, which is actually $40 a day for transportation. But you see the executive, they are outspending themselves. There's no objectivity in the government, because if there's objectivity, then by now you will have a barometer to say from this period to this period, this is what we want to achieve, and this is how we want to achieve it. You have senators, representatives, specifically, for instance, Senator Dillon today, lashing out at people who have not declared their asset. But you're sitting down as part of a Senate that has refused to be accountable to the people. You're sitting down as part of the Senate that has a report before it of the misappropriation in an audit report or system report that showed that 20 million or 20 something million was used inappropriately, and you are saying nothing. And then now you want to come and take asset declaration, comparing embezzlement to asset declaration. What is asset declaration? These asset declaration, what are they doing? The LSC is not looking behind it. The LSC is not countering anything. They're not checking it. So making that a focus is very lazy. And it just tells you that the governance system from the legislature, which I believe, and I stay stand by that point, as a stand, it is a crime scene. The only thing that is happening there is a crime against the Liberian people. In everything that is happening there, I stand by that. I will never change that position until we in there change the way we do things. We have literally allowed ourselves to be used as appropriating the crime of the executive. The so-called recast was money laundering. When they took the Liberian people money and they portioned it everywhere, it needed to be legitimized. And that's all the recast did. So when you go all over the country, and again there is a precedent. The Constitution of Liberia gave the Liberian presidency too much power. In fact, in many instances, it is over the limit. To see that this president is not using that, is worrisome. And we got to get to a place where, and this is where I am now. At 10 months, nothing has happened. In my view, nothing has happened. There is money that the president asked for the $2 million for the 100 days. There's no account of that money. There's a budget that was passed. Up to today, there has been no performance report. We're in October, by law, within 2 weeks, the Minister of Finance should submit a budget to us. Those things are not happening. No accountability in our system. Corruption is rife. Allegation of corruption is rife. We have cases where, for instance, at LTA, where they say 2 million was given, and there's complete silence. Nothing. The entire government alteration, how they call it, budget, I don't even know the word anymore. Whatever happened to the budget, the executive marshal name was in the middle of that. Nothing came from that kind of nonchalant attitude. The very thing that the United Party was pounding at George Weah for. It tells me, and I have to agree with the piece that Grace wrote a week ago. Liberia is in an abusive relationship perpetrated by CDC and the Unity Party. It was a passionate statement as to the state of our country. I'm not sure Liberians understand. You know, when I went through that article, it's clear to me that even, and forgive me guys if you feel offended, even all of us on this show, I'm not sure we all understand what she was talking. Because if you take the two people, their behavior the same. Our future, in the near future, there is no sign that one of these people will not come back to run this country. It is scary.
All right.
So what I would say, got open from chairmanability. Remember, you want the chairman, always a chairman, we just call you chairmanability or representability. What I would say is representability talks about what barometer the speaker is using. I've started by basically saying that the conduct of the speaker was disgraceful. But when Bealded talks about barometer, the barometer by which we can judge and gauge our government should be what? Should observe objective standards. So if we will apply an objective standard to the speaker, unfortunate defense of the president, fruitless travels, we can say that, you know, the speaker is shamelessly doing the bidding for the president. I think this is something that there's no two ways about it. The executive has organs that communicate for it. The speaker is under no compulsion to reduce himself, debase himself to be the spokesman for the executive.
Have you listened to the speaker perfectly?
It's for the speaker. I mean, if he wants to do that, if the speaker wants to do that, then what he's effectively doing is to just surrender his role as somebody who comes from the opposition community. Because what we all are observing, for example, Bouakar's conduct doesn't reflect that transparent and accountable change that Liberian people have been yearning for. We are all talking about a recast budget that was started in secrecy. Even some of the things that were done with the recast budget, it's so shameful that when you talk about it and you see the speaker talking the way he's talking, you laugh in his face. Bouakar is cutting allotment in that budget to health facilities, even though Bouakar will travel to the US and take advanced medical treatment. Why is the president imposing death sentence on our people when he cut down the allotment to medical facilities in the budget?
I'm very sorry. I forgive me, but you wrong Joseph Bouakar here.
Why?
You have 105 people that your Liberian people elected that appropriated that money.
But
the Constitution gave them the power to do so, and they did what they wanted to do. Please stop. On that note, I'm sorry I had to come in there. You are lawmakers, and all of them, because I can only defend myself because I didn't vote for that nonsense. But all of them appropriated that budget, and therefore you can't hold Joseph Bouakar responsible for it.
But let me say this quickly as a pushback.
I'm sorry for interjecting.
No problem, chairmanability. But let me say this as a pushback to chairmanability. The budget is the president's budget. What we say in political science is that you can share the labor of the great, but you can't share the spoil. When the government spoils, we throw it at the feet of the president. He's the head of government.
You are a lawyer. If Ben Sanvee says that tonight, I will let it go. But you are a lawyer. Mm-hmm. The Constitution is very clear that the budget shall derive from the legislature.
But nobody where it derives from the president.
That
No,
If they
it
are
is
acting,
derived.
but
then
Chairman
you can't hold Baka responsible.
Chairman
Belete,
that's
to
not
say,
correct. That's not derived from the legislature. That's not
It
correct.
does.
No.
Show me
Belete,
one part of the constitution that say that the president
go
wants to
in.
vote for
No.
you.
It's derived from
Give
the
the chance to
executive.
complete.
My friend,
Guys,
I'm a lawmaker. You're not a lawmaker, man.
I
I'm
don't have to
telling
be
you
lawmaker.
what the
I don't have to
law
be
says.
lawmaker, but it's derived from the executive.
Show me the constitutional part that says
let's
it.
give the other guy a chance to talk. We
But I
can't
just
rush.
I haven't spoken.
I'm telling you
We'll
the
get a chance.
constitution says.
We'll get a chance. Let that guy finish. Let Asif finish.
let me, no problem, Chairman. Let's take our time and not allow a passion to take hold of us. I want us to take our time to go at it piece by piece so that we educate our people. The budget is the president's budget. What you lawmakers do is to make allotment in that budget. If the president decides that some of the things you're allotting he will not support, he will not support. The president is the head of the government. The president should be cognizant of the challenges confronting our people. Here we are talking about a president who, amidst all of the challenges, financial challenges he said he inherited, he will basically cast blind eyes to them and still breading the country by making numerous trips with huge delegation. He's not copying the good example of President John Magufuli of Tanzania, who, when taking power, decided to impose executive order to restrict foreign travel on his officials. President Bouaka is not doing that. He's not copying any shining example. He's abusing the little resources of the country to protect the people behind him to get absolutely zero in return as we speak. So that's not leadership. In the budget, when the president, who is the head of the government, see that the recast budget is reducing allotment in that budget to health facility. When poor people in Bapolu cannot go to hospital to get medication, and Senator Amarakone was in the public. He said, I told my colleagues that something was wrong. They passed the budget under suspicious circumstances. It did not meet the various minimum standard. Liberia, under the leadership of President Bouaka, when he was vice president, Liberia acceded to the Open Government Partnership. What was that? The Open Government Partnership was a commitment by the Liberian government to the global community that it was taking transparency and accountability seriously. Today, the budget is not even transparent as we speak. It flies in the face of even the PFN law, Musa. So this thing comes to the president's doorstep. Do you know that the president also engaged in off-budget spending and it's unlawful? It's unlawful for the president to engage in off-budget spending. $2.5 million off-budget to NSA to do what, Musa? Have you asked that question? It is still the president's problem. It is the president's problem. $1 million to buy bulletproof Jeep for the president. Off-budget spending. Do we have to do that at this stage? When our schools' buildings are caving in? Do we have to do that? What is the priority of the government? So, Musa, there's no way you can justify the reckless and irresponsible conduct of this government on any ground. You can't justify it. That's why I was appalled that this speaker will try to find justification of for the president traveling and flying all over the place when he said, oh, the president got to put his face on everything. Magufuli did not put his face on everything in a short period of time. Tanzania is a shining example of what a government can do when a discipline itself. It doesn't have to bow its knee to what? To the multilateral international institutions like IMF and World Bank. He doesn't have to be passing all around, look for plate in your hand. Magufuli set that shining example. Why is Bouaka not doing that? Why is he not doing that? This is where we are.
Okay, we got you, Ben. We got let's start with Sylvester, and then Robert and Chairman Ben will come on.
Thank you.
Can I give one small clarification? Just says, in my, I beg you, as a first, we don't disagree. We don't disagree, but I just, we shouldn't take the burden from where it belongs. Joseph Boakai, as president of Liberia, in my mind, the executive for the last 10 months has failed, has not done anything. There's nothing for me to see to say satisfaction performance. No question about that. But I can't be here sitting down here as and we're criticizing the president when in fact the Constitution provides a means by which the president can be checked. And that process has been abused. You see, the budget you're talking about, so we could have said no to him. All of the abuses that you are referring to, we have literally agreed on everything. 16 million, no, not 16 million. Yes, $16 million in off-budget spending. The government reported it to us after we forced them to bring the report. We did nothing. In fact, if people did anything, they were probably to go and try to, do whatever they always do to benefit personally. We did nothing. The legislature has been aiding and abetting everything the executive has been doing. So I just wanted to add that to your point. I'm not, because when you use that word defend, God will punish me if I do anything to defend this government. But yeah, at the end of the day, please don't take the legislature out of it. Because the power to stop it, the power to do it differently, the power to tell Joseph Boakai that you can't spend $1.1 million on armored vehicle is in them by the power of our Constitution. They don't, at this point in time, they don't even know if they have that power. What happened to this budget? The executive abused the legislature, held their pay, refused to pay them, and make it appear like they can only be paid if they pass the budget. And therefore, the argument of whether or not the budget to be passed dissipated. The only thing the legislature was concerned about is whether or not they will be paid. Most of the guys in the executive, remember, they've been here for 12 years. They have good experience. They know how to use their power. They know how to use the executive power. That's what they did in the legislature. That's why you didn't hear anything about the government bribed the legislature. No, they just held their pay. They're abusing them. They are manipulating them. They are using them in a way that you cannot believe. The legislature just don't pay. Today is the 14th. They just took pay 4 days ago. They just took pay 4 days ago. They don't pay them on time anymore. Anything they want from them is because something is backdated. The fuel is not coming. So when they bring whatever they want to bring, then the legislator now no argument again. Oh, if we not get 2 more fuel, we'll not pass it. In their hair, when they get what is legitimately theirs, then they that's what is happening. So I just don't want all to please don't keep the legislature out of this. They are the main culprit here. Joseph Boakai and his executive, I have said, they are not doing nothing. That's my position. I've also said the speaker position that he doesn't think that the president should be criticized so early. While I respect his view, I totally disagree with him. Because it is not about the president's travel. It is about whether the president has a plan. Whether he has a plan to say, this my travel is supposed to bring this my travel is supposed to bring this. And if it is true that there is a plan, what would have happened? January, February, we would have had the president's entire plan of action to say, I intend to 2023, and this is what the trip gonna bring to me. So, don't take us out of it, please.
Sylvester, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I think we have a full house, so probably after this, I will step back and because the conversation need to have the time to flow. But listen, what I will say, and I'm one person that time to time will criticize this administration, and basically, but some of the things that I'm for and the way we criticize, I don't just blindly go into things and say things without any basic justification, right? But yes, what I would say in the process of the president travel. Article 57 of the Constitution of our country said the president is the chief architect of our foreign policy process. So the president will have to travel to represent the country. He's not the first president to do that. He's not going to be the last to do that. Now, Mr. Bealded just said something just now, and I'm going to catch it on the process of the president plans. Yeah, he will have to communicate that with the legislature, but that would be in keeping with the president office own determination as to how to communicate the plan. I don't want to think the president of our republic won't have a plan. I'm not the spokesperson of the government. I don't want to preempt one, but I do believe that there's sufficient process going through the line. Now, the president has not had too much of major foreign travel, if you will. Recent time, I can recall on this very show when the president started the process, people said the president didn't want to represent the country. People cited 57, did he want to represent the country? The president was too old. He didn't want to travel, even when he missed the first ECOWAS meeting. Folks criticizing bluntly said they were wrong. Now the president is trying to engage. Now, in diplomacy, I'm studying on both politics and international politics and diplomacy. In diplomacy, we have something we refer to as the sit-down meeting. It is important sometimes for our leader to do a direct representation of the republic. Now, I'm not saying that those plans that are coming from the president to not travel, I think it's quite counterproductive. No one will want to sit and believe that you would champion those kind of a cause and sit down because you believe you just want to criticize. No, it's not all to it to criticize. Sometimes the criticism should come with some way we offer some solution the way forward. The president will have to do some international representation and do some major sit-down meeting and to see how he can cultivate some major thing back to the country. I sincerely believe that. Now, with the justification given by the speaker entirely, the speaker was never wrong in this process. He's the speaker of the House. Now, someone was just saying, can a Republican speaker, this is a total different government culture as what we have here in the U.S. versus what is unfolding in our country. Now, the speaker is part of the government. And being part of the government, he understands very well we got our own limitation in terms of what we want. Our national kit is very small. Not that we have there to strike on to do major development process. We have to engage with other international partners to ensure that those partners will come and help the country move forward. The president visited to China, for instance, to the focus. It brought some productive outcome that the government going to benefit from. There were some certain things that were being held due to some diplomatic maneuvering. The president, when he did some representation, we're going to see some positive things unfolding in terms of the crossover bridges or major other things coming back to the country. I would want to be very honest here. On the issue about nepotism here, I would let us say, yeah, the president, I think, went over is bound to bring a lot of offense in the government, though certain individual will want to justify those things, looking at the cultural diversity in Lofa. Now, remember, Lofa has 7 of the 16 tribes in Liberia. If you want to do a geographical balance of the tribal representation of our country, one will want to think the president is inclined to believe that a Loma man is not a Bandi man, a Manigo man is not a Kisi man, a Kisi man is not a Pere man. And that will also reflect on the Bassa man, the Crew man, the rest of that. But most of us from the Southeast did not criticize that in the past when other people reflected in terms of the geographical balance of the country. We need to be a little bit balanced here as to how we want to strike those things. So the president would have appointed those people. For instance, the former minister of finance didn't come from Lofa. He didn't come from Lofa. Now the new minister is from Lofa. So the president is trying to strike a balance. And this new minister is not a Kisi man. So with the issue of nepotism, we have to be a little bit mindful here. People become more sentimental in discussing political because they want to be all. They want to criticize. Garguah is not a Kisi man. Double Jala is not a Kisi man, right? So we need to strike a geographical diversity balance of what is unfolding in the country. So when it comes to those things, I want to think the speaker will never run the process. The president will have to represent. Article 57 give the powers to the president to do this kind of a representation. And quickly, Mr. Bealded, before I know I'm not a lawmaker. Sometimes I know how you took this statement. I don't have to be a lawmaker to understand that the budget will have to come from the executive until you do the necessary appropriation. But the budget does not emanate from you, the lawmaker. So I don't have to be a lawmaker to understand that. I know political science 500 taught me Liberian government and politics, so I should know that the process will come from the president and to you. That's why the finance minister will have to present the budget to the speaker, Mr. Chairman. So this just the point I try to strike here. We need to, from time to time, strike there's a delicate balance here. And that strategic delicate balance will have to be structured in a way that governance will have to be implemented. We cannot blindly implement governance. We are having individual to exercise the powers given to them by our Constitution. The president was given that by the Constitution of the country, right? So he should exercise those rights and do it in keeping with the mandate given to him by the people of Liberia. So I'm one person that would look at it from the other perspective, that the president will have to do more travel. And the president said he did those things. He did a lot of international travel. And most of those things dropped the HIPAA process. We want to do heavily indebted country. The president said he visitation across places and other things. Lastly, the reason why the legislature is today the way it is, weak, and those kind of imprudent or improper situation unfolding is because it started from the president, from President Sirleaf administration, right? So the president will always be a kind of a powerful person in the republic. The president manipulated the system. She pushed what she wanted at the time, and there will be things that will happen. The legislature will move and do those things. And number one is difficult. They run the price. So if you stop, but you just said this, they're not giving them fuel. The pay is not coming on time, and all those things. They push them to do some things, unorthodox things that are not necessarily in conformity with operational governance process. And that's why we found ourselves where we are today. But again, I think the president should travel, and he should try to bring more productive things to the country. So the country, as a matter of fact, we are part of the Committee of Nations, and we should exercise that domain effectively and in a more prudent manner.
All right, let's go to Robert. Robert, come in. To follow the conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doc. And it's a great conversation. It's good to see everyone on today. I see. So excuse our ignorance. We did not study politics in Liberia, and so we may not understand in depth as the progressive, neo-progressive. But we will attempt to apply some common sense to the conversation, because I don't think that the issue here for me is whether or not the president must travel. I think I'm hearing the feedback. Can we mute, please? For me, I don't think the contention here is whether or not the president must travel. I don't think that should be the discussion here. Yeah, we understand that the president have got to travel. But just because the Constitution allows the president, or because the president is the chief architect of our foreign policy, does the president have to travel every single trip? That's the question. And if the answer, Sylvester, is yes, the president is required to travel every single trip, then you and I guess, will concur that there's no need for a foreign minister, right? The president is in Italy, for instance, for the World Food Program, where he delivered the keynote speech. And I think that they mentioned different activities that he's scheduled to be involved with. But I'm looking at a trip like that, and I'm thinking to myself, can we get the kind of result, if not 100%? Can we get similar result if, for instance, the foreign minister, along with the agriculture minister, if they had been those folks representing the president at that event? The trips of the president is important. We get that. The president cannot just sit in Monrovia when we need things done, when we need resources, when we need investors. We get it. But every responsible government in difficult times, and I'm not speaking politically, I'm trying to add some common sense to the discussion. Every responsible government in difficult times are faced with making responsible decisions in the interest of their people. They are also faced with spending responsibly. Every responsible government. So, what is the essence of the president making every single trip only because the president is the chief architect of our foreign policy? Then why do you have a foreign minister? The foreign minister helps the president execute his foreign policy internationally. This is the reason why you have a foreign minister. Unless the president does not trust his foreign minister, unless the president does not trust his executives. There are key people in key government agencies for a reason. They bring a certain level of expertise at home and abroad. And so I stand corrected and excuse my ignorance. But just because the Constitution allows the president to travel, and just because the president is entitled to spend a certain thousands of dollars of taxpayer money to travel every time, must he travel or must he make every single trip? Is it a necessity? We all know that it costs the Liberian people more money on every time the president travels as compared to if the foreign minister and a few ministers were to travel. We know that it costs a lot. It's not free. Security costs a lot. He's traveling with entourage. I mean, per diem costs a lot. So I think we should bring this conversation back. Constitutional matters, I agree. One thing granted, but the president cannot make every single trip. And if the president must make every single trip, then I think it is fair to say this amount has been spent on foreign trips since the president became the inauguration of the president. What have the Liberian people gained from these trips? I think it's fair. If you're going to spend $200 million or $100 million or $300,000, $500,000 on a trip, then at least you should be able to outline benefits that will directly improve the lives of the Liberian people. But when you're spending money on these trips and you can barely articulate to us how we benefit, then it raises question. This whole thing about the trip to China, let me tell you something. We know, Representative Bealded knows, with or without the trip to China, the overpass negotiations were already in progress. We know this would have happened. It was already in progress. Let me close on this note so the other guys can come in. We have missed priorities in our country. I watched yesterday the Methodist Church and Liberians, forcefully voicing out their opinion when it came to what the church position is. Meanwhile, most of those folks don't have jobs. I've never seen them protest about the government inability to create jobs for them. Meanwhile, we don't have great hospitals. I've never seen us taking a position as a united front on the importance of having great hospitals. Meanwhile, they can barely send their kids to school. I've never seen us stood up fiercely on these key issues. I've never seen us. We're not doing these things. So the president traveling is one thing, but I think the speaker is wrong on this matter. The speaker is wrong. If the speaker likes the fact that he's making this trip, look, I think the speaker is in a tight space, and I think he's doing the best that he can do yet. But sometimes certain things are not worth saying, especially when you're not putting them in perspective. No one is arguing that the president cannot travel, but must the president make every trip? Must the speaker accompany the president on every trip? Must everybody else make the trip? Yeah. I think we got to think about the people, and we got to think about who we are fighting for here. Wasteful spending must be taken into consideration, and the president must understand which trip he must make and which trip he must send representation. Not every trip the president must make. And I will agree with Musa Bealded, Representative Bealded. Yes, the budget comes from the executives, but the legislative branch of government is there to check and balance the executive. If the legislature agrees by vote on everything that comes from the executive mansion, then yes, you cannot simply say this is the president's budget. I agree, this is the president's budget, because it said, well, show me your budget and I'll tell you where your priorities lie. This is the president's budget. But we have lawmakers for a reason. And if the lawmakers are going to concur with everything the president says, then why do we have a legislative branch of government? Because clearly they're not functioning at an independent level. They're not playing the integral role, check and balance.
Okay.
So they passed this budget. They agree with the president, yeah. So if the president is doing what the president is doing, then yes, the lawmakers are also part of this. And this is not just unique to Liberia. Yes, the legislative branch of government, yeah, whether they're Democrat or Republican, they are also part of the government. But they play and understand their core responsibility. They don't just succumb to everything that comes from the White House. They don't.
Let's keep it going, Robert.
If the government must be shut down, the government must be shut down. But they don't just agree to anything. The fact that they're agreeing to it, yes, they are part of the mess.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Now, let's try to minimize our comment because we have many here tonight. Let's go to Chairman Sanvee, and then we'll come to Grace and Professor Kennedy, and then we'll go to
Chief. Please let me make one small interjection before Chairman comes in, please.
You can come in, yeah.
I think we need to start somewhere as a country, and I will just please allow us to start somewhere tonight. Sylvester, for me, I like to go by the law. I have the Constitution that I use as my guide. There's nothing in the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia that says that the president is supposed to submit budget to the legislature. I don't care about what is the norm. But what I've read, and the late 2 cents my parents gave me to go to school, says to me that January, the president of the Republic of Liberia will come to the legislature and present his priorities to the people. That is the law. That's what the Constitution says. That's what we will take and use our appropriation power. And the Constitution is very clear that every revenue bill shall originate, and I'm using the word originate, from the House of Representatives. I'm not a perfect person. I could be wrong, but I want somebody to read any part of the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia that say the president of Liberia shall submit budget to the legislature. I'll see that one, and I'll be happy to succumb to that. Unless we begin to take things the way it should be, the country will not go nowhere. That's exactly why we sat here and said Joseph Boakai, 42-year experience. Nobody bothered to ask what has been the significance of those experiences to the country. They just say the 42-year experience, and it didn't matter to anybody whether that has been good experience or whether those governments have been good to the people. He just said, no, me, the late thing I came to do from the small paper that my parents went to farm and buy pepper and cola to send me to school, tells me that the Constitution says every year the president of Liberia must come and tell us that anything I want to do, that anything I want to do, that anything I want to do. Then the legislature will appropriate. And to do so, the Constitution says revenue bill must come from the House of originate. The word originate, when you use the word originate, you mean that the place is starting from. It can't come from the president, then it will originate from the legislature. My brother, this is not a Supreme Court where laws are sometimes made on precedent. This is governance. We have to go by the rules that are written. We've had enough of that. This is how it's happening. This is how it's happening. They may got 50-year experience. Yeah, United Party here with 12-year experience, they're not doing nothing. 12 years, nothing they're doing. The only thing they have done in the 10 months that we pass is to compare every action of theirs to the very CDC that they chase over here. Nothing more. When it comes to travel, and we are doing it. When it comes to moving people on out of tenure, we are doing everything. So I beg you, I want to stick to that rule. So you can help me tonight for the benefit of the people on the show. I say the budget or any financial instrument originates by the Constitution from the House of Representatives.
All right. Is it my time?
Yeah.
Well, it's good to see everybody. It's a full house. Grace, why are you laughing? Like, you know what I'm coming to say. But let me say this. I'm listening to everybody, and I'm listening because I'm trying to figure out where we are as a nation. One, I hear the passion in the voice of my former national chair, always chair, and representative, who, by the way, I'm extremely proud of. I think he has set the stage for what a model representative should look like. But there's one problem with what is happening here, is that obviously we are looking at the Liberia we all aspire towards. We're not looking at the Liberia we have today. And that is the problem. The problem is there's only one Musa ability in the House of Representatives. The problem is the CDC Legislative Caucus. I see a lot of seditions passing around, even attacking the speaker. But the problem is the CDC Legislative Caucus in the House of Representatives aligns with the Unity Party.
Correct.
And guess what? If Onati Kofa were to attack the president would join the CDC Legislative Caucus, they will remove him. When was the last time we had a confrontational speaker to the president? Edwin Snow tried, he survived, I think, 1 year or less than a year. Alex Tyler did what he had to do. When he got towards the end of when he was going closer, one day he decided to say, oh, he won't be president. You know, I'm a student of history. When he decided he wanted to be president, Ellen did everything in her power and they removed him. And we got Emmanuel Nukwe. By the way, in 2017, Joe Boakai picked Emmanuel Nukwe to be his running mate. Fast forward to the CDC years. Buffer Chimba, who was one of the fierce advocates for the masses before he became Speaker of the House. I used to see Buffer Chimba attend protests with the University of Liberian students. Buffer Chimba became Speaker. He did everything George Weah instructed him to do. Now, let's come to Fonati Kofa. He can defend himself, but let me say this. He was asked a question, and I believe he was answering the question regarding the president's trip. By the way, he's on the trip to Italy. Do you expect the speaker to say that the trip is bad, that he was on his way going to Italy? No. The truth of the matter is it's almost like we're trying to live in the Liberia we dream of. Newsflash, folks, that is not the Liberia you have. The Liberia you have is one where, Mr. Representative, you are right. The national legislature can raise a budget. They can do that. Because when the budget gets to them, if the president sends his budget to them, they can move. In fact, they did it in this budget. They did it in this budget. There were certain things they move around. The budget that was passed was not the budget that Joseph Boakai sent to the House. So yes, your argument is true, Musa. The national legislature can do that. But you rightly said it. The executive held the legislature hostage. And guess what? The very Fonati Kofa had a gun to his head. If you don't do that, and you don't get our car, and you don't do this, we will see what will happen to you. Look, folks, I hate to sound like a broken record, but I know we want to see a democratic Liberia where the speaker stands up and fight. Guys, it's not happening. It's not going to happen. Because you know why? Because you know why? Leaders are a reflection of the people. When you replace somebody, where are you taking them from? When you replace Solomon George from district number, what was Solomon George district? By the way, I saw Solomon George give a speech the other day, and he said, Joey, I'm not even thinking about coming back.
Doing an interview.
He did an interview, right? Good. But you replace him with somebody from his district. All I'm saying, folks, is that until we can start to deal, and I see the passion in Musa, me and he have this debate offline all the time. The fundamental problem we have here is our system is not ready to absorb the kind of changes that we're talking about, simply because we don't have the kind of men and women that we need to have to be able to stand up the way. So guess what's going to happen? Musa is going to say his own. He's going to go on the record. He voted against the budget. Did the budget not pass? In the legislature, they say the minority will have a say and the majority will have his way. All I'm saying, folks, is I think let's hone this conversation a little bit. When you look at the budget, and I also understand the people who say this is the president's budget, because at the end of the day, it clearly shows what Joseph Boyka's priority is. Joseph Boyka is in Italy speaking on agriculture, but he cut the agriculture budget down. So it clearly shows where his priorities are, right? I will only end on this note. I hope and pray that at some point, because I think the system in itself, like my sister Grace said, the country is in a dysfunctional, abusive marriage or something she said with both CDC and Unity Party. Me and her can have these debates about these two political parties. I keep saying this over and over. The Liberian people will have to take a self-reflection and look themselves in the mirror, because they vote for these people. If the propagandists have won, their men are on the screen would not have REP next to his name. Because at one point in time, he was supposed to be a criminal. Today, nobody can call Musa a criminal. Why? Because of the way he has carried himself, the way he is carrying his legislative function. It took him less than 3 months to rehabilitate a lie and a propagandist image. All I'm saying, folks, let us hound and come back to reality. There has to be some point where we understand where we are as a nation and we start dealing with it rather than walking in front and then we say we won't walk our way back. That's why I will stop for now.
All right, Grace coming, and then we'll go to Professor Kennedy, and then
now we're coming, right?
I said after Grace, yeah. I mean after Professor Kennedy.
Yeah, no problem.
Grace coming.
Well, I am very tired. I would like to welcome Representative Musa Bealded, the most beloved representative in Liberia right now. And I would like to say thank you again over and over. Continue doing what you're doing. That when people are watching. But I know Ben can come here and he will, me and Ben will go up, back to back sometimes. He will say everything he has to say. This speaker, we are not going to make any excuse for the speaker. Liberia gave Speaker Kofa a chance. Speaker Kofa was put to prison for investment in this country. He went back to Liberia, the only country that would give him a chance to get to the position that he's in. So he owed the Liberian people a lot. Because in other countries, Speaker Kofa will not even be heard anymore. Let's just be realistic. For him to get in such a position, and you seeing that people still seeing that the man is corner, or he's not something, then if you know you can't do the job, remove yourself. Better to sit in here, he can be speaker. Or that we need somebody that have the guts to do the work for the Liberian people. We need somebody that will stand up to the president and say, you know what, this is not going to happen for me. I know you're a student of political science and you're a student of this thing. For me, I'm just a student of humility. I let my friend, I'm a student of reality. And for the Liberian people, these are the people I speak for. I'm a student of nothing else. I am saying I will continue to say that the president don't have to travel the way he's traveling. The gas only called opportunity cost. You spend money traveling means that you're taking away from addressing domestic issues in the country. Liberia has a lot of domestic issues in the country. How is it that the president has a foreign minister that can represent him? He has a lands and mines minister that can represent him in that aspect. He has an agriculture minister that can represent him in that aspect. Why is he traveling and spending the country money like this? And you tell us that, oh, the president's supposed to go meet the Pope. Oh, by the way, my mom met the Pope and she was working with Togar at that time. Togar did not go to meet the Pope. He sent representative, they went and she met the Pope and the rest of the people. So if meeting the Pope is important, then taking care of the needs of the Liberian people, then we question why this government came into power in the first place. These people criticize CDC. I know Judge Weah is very, very, very disappointed in fanatical right now. He is. And because if Judge Weah government was voted out of power because of all these things are happening, and we have a seditious speaker cannot take a stand, Judge Weah should be very disappointed. Then they should have just kept Weah there. Y'all know me for me, I will say the truth. They should have just kept it there so we can figure out the lessons that we in now to see what we're going to deliver for the country. So I hope the people who voted these people into power are very ashamed of themselves that Liberia is a filthy nation. We don't need excuses. We don't need any backdated behavior. We want something to be done abruptly, and we want it now. And it can be done. We can have people in the house to stand up for this country because they owe it to their country. And that's what we are waiting for. We'll continue to hold our feet to the fire. I will continue to say, these two political parties are not the way forward to change Liberia. Liberians, open your eyes. Come 2029, CDC and UP, they have to be going. You got to tell them bye-bye. These people will never change your country for the better. So we have to change our direction now to a new place and vote a new group of people in to change the lives of the Liberian people. That's just what I have to say.
Doc, can I come in now?
Doc?
Yeah, Professor Kennedy can come in now. Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to touch on three things real quick, and then I'll turn it over to Attorney Jackson real quick. So I'll touch on something that my man Ben Sanvee said, and something also that Emmerich mentioned in the chat. But I want people to think about this. In every instance where we ask for change, a lot of the legislators at one time were replaced. And who did we end up with? We end up with a new group that came in and started doing the exact same thing that people we got rid of were doing. We asked for, when Madison Leaf was running the country, there were even marches telling her to step down. We asked for a change for hope. They came in, and what happened? The World Bank reported that we have more people going to poverty than at any other time. Some people will argue that's not true, but it's in the World Bank report. We asked to be rescued. And now within a few months of the rescue mission, the people are feeling the pinch. Does the president need to travel? Well, when we had COVID, no one was traveling. So it's not mandated that he needs to travel because COVID took place. There was nobody there traveling, right? So you can survive without having to do some travels. If they thought traveling was important and it didn't upset the people, they will publish the expenses for each travel. They will publish it. Then we'll know whether it's, but the fact that you're hiding it, that means you have something to hide. When the former president of Mexico, Obrador, came to power, the first thing he did was he took the $200 million government plane and he sold it. It took him years to sell it. He sold it for about $92 million or so, but he felt that it was going to be more expensive to maintain it. He sold it. When they had the women conference over in Paris, he didn't travel. He did it via Zoom. George Weah took a delegation that flew to France, sat in a hotel room just to do Zoom conference. You see the mentality? The president has diplomats in every country that is meant to do the bilateral meetings. He doesn't need to travel there to do it because when he does, he takes a large delegation like a rock star. It's expensive. He doesn't need to do that. In fact, a lot of these governments are willing to give Liberia money without the president having to do any travel. It's in the budget. So we saw Madison Leaf do a lot of extensive traveling. We never saw the benefit and the cost to do the cost-benefit analysis. We never saw it. We saw George Weah do the same thing. We never saw it. How can you bring about change if you're repeating the same instances that others who did it before you never successfully did it? You know, when Representative Bealded speaks about the Constitution and following the Constitution, it baffles me because what is the purpose of the Constitution when no one is following it? They're not following the Constitution. It's like having a speed limit law or saying nobody in Liberia can drive without a driver's license, but nobody listens to it because it's not being enforced. A law is only as powerful, a constitution is only as powerful when it is being enforced, because people will see there's some cost to you breaking the Constitution. No one cares about the Constitution because everybody's breaking it. But I would encourage Representative Bealded not to give up, keep his fight, and see if he can bring people on board one at a time in his side of the ring, and then carry on the fight. The legislature actually holds the power in the country. The reason I say that, they can override the president. They can do a lot of things if they work together, but they're so dysfunctional. That's why you can't get anything done. That's why the president seems to run anything. Let me close on this real quick. Emmerich mentioned what Representative Bealded have been talking about. The changes Representative Bealded mentioned in other countries is a top-down approach. The president that came into those countries, he immediately started making some changes. The countries that were worse off than Liberia, the Three Tigers, the Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore, even China that was in abject poverty. Look at Botswana. Look at all these countries. What brought about the change in those countries? It was the leader. When Deng Xiaoping left China, Mao Zedong came in, he brought about change. It took China about 15 years. Now China is the second most powerful country in the world in terms of trading, right behind the United States. And China was worse off than Liberia. They were worse off than Liberia. And there they are. Singapore, the same thing. When Lee Kuan Yew came in, top-down approach, he changed the country. The same thing happened in Botswana. It happened. So for Liberia, the change, we may not like it, but it will have to come from the presidency. So what is killing Liberia is, like what Nelson Mandela said, we have the leadership deficit. Until the Liberian people come together, unite, and put in place someone with a clear idea of leadership, they will never change. You can't be electing people they never had no debates or anything. You don't even know what their program or what they stand for, and you put them in power. It's absolute nonsense. What do you expect? You never listened to what the arrest program was all about. You wouldn't have heard a catchphrase arrest and you ran towards it. No one can define what it means or what the step-by-step of the arrest program would do to alleviate you out of poverty. You only heard a catchphrase. Only now they're talking about going to write or build out what the arrest is all about. It's just absolute nonsense. You know, you're putting the cart before the horse. So we're in the situation we're in. It's not by accident. We're in the situation we're in because we ourselves in the public, we haven't changed our mindset. Until we change that mindset and stop accepting the nonsense that's been fed down our throat for years, we will always be the top 10 poorest country in the world. That's where we find ourselves today. We have the resources, but we can't seem to get out of this. It's called a poverty trap. We're in this poverty trap. We keep running to the IMF for loans. That crap has never worked. No way that President Boyka would succeed in using IMF money to turn Liberia around. It has never worked. It will never work under his leadership. They keep fooling themselves thinking, oh, it's going to work. Let's run to IMF. Look at the IMF report that came out. There are over 70-something instances the word wages mentioned in there.
Yeah.
Wages is in there multiple times. Harmonization is going nowhere. You may not want to accept it. Go in that report and read it. The new ECF program, the 40-month loan, 200-something million. Liberia's going to be getting like 5 million. Harmonization is going nowhere. But look, let me not eat up too much of the time. Attorney Jackson, come in, man.
Yeah, Attorney Jackson, come
in. Thank you. Professor, right? Professor, you went all across the world looking for an example. And when I started this conversation, I picked up upon an example from East Africa that nobody can debate and challenge. Makafoli, remains undisputably a guy who disciplined his officials by basically banning foreign travels and using that money to invest in the infrastructure of that country. It's a shining example in Africa. Bouaka could do likewise. I agree with Brother Ability. And I would say Ability have said the legislature is as dead can be. I love Kofa as a brother, but I'm not one of Kofa's fanboys. I have to look him in the face and tell him the truth. If Kofa wants a defining legacy, he can't be the one presiding in the legislature that has been described as rubber stamp and dead. I sure Kofa doesn't want to walk in the footsteps of Nyenwolo Mokromla. I could even forgive Nyenwolo Mokromla or Charles Taylor, House of Representatives, because he was from the same party with Taylor and brought about proportional representation. This fanatic Kofa that we talk about, he is the face of the opposition community. If he's not willing to define his legacy by standing up to straighten a backbone and make our democracy to be functional, I'm not going to walk behind him. I will say my truth to him, and I will remind him of the power associated with the position he holds when I call into proceeding John Bercow of England. You know, John Bercow was the Parliament Speaker of England. He ended the government of Theresa May by basically adhering to the precepts of democracy. My friend Ben goes to, I think Ben, even in that Speaker Kofa, when he says that the Speaker is on the trail, so he can't condemn it. Ben, is it for the Speaker or for the country? Are we trying to protect the Speaker? If the Speaker cannot speak true because he's on the trail, then he's complicit in undermining Liberia democracy. He should be ashamed of himself. We made him speak up. People criticize we are today is not in power. He should straighten his backbone up. Liberia democracy cannot be built by spineless and gutless men. If Kofa is about protecting his job, brother, then I would say shame on Kofa. It should not be about protecting your jobs. It should be about service to the Liberian people. Nobody will be speaker forever. No status quo can stay in place forever. Do I need to remind Kofa about that? Oh, he doesn't care about his legacy. He will leave over there with his Kofa over there doing the bidding of sick and wobbling President Bouaka. Is that what he wants? You know, Dr. Famule says something in one of his famous pieces. One of the pieces called Now They Know. Dr. Famule articulated eloquently that there are people who are conditioned to serve evil. And I'm saying that with all that Bouaka has done, just in 8 months, there are people here who are still finding way to justify the abuse of public money. You know, somebody goes to the Constitution and they're using words that we need to apply meaning to. The president is the chief architect. What does architect mean? Let's define it for ABC people who follow us. Architect is somebody who designs, who draws things out. When the president is the architect, he draws out the foreign policy. He's not going up and down to attend these meetings. That's why he got foreign minister. Architect, if the president decided that the emission gas at the IMO should be reduced by 5%, Liberia permanent representative of the IMO will articulate that position. He said, this is what Liberia wants for emission to be. The president doesn't go sit to the IMO and say, because I, the chief architect, I will say to the IMO and argue what emission reduction should be. What is this that we're doing here? You say, oh, the president should be using prudent measure. Prudent? Is prudent not losing meaning? Are you entering prudence of its meaning? When you say prudent, that what? That wise, sensible judgment. How is it wise that a country that is staring at financial difficulty have its president travel with 30 men? And you want to use prudent here, brother? What are you using prudent for? You're abusing the word. You're doing violent to prudent. Because no sensible person will agree that it is prudent for a country that is financially starving to put behind the president 30 people who doing zero. Let's stop doing this to our country, brother. It's not fair to Liberia. We should love our country more than these individuals who occupy position temporarily. We should elevate our country beyond the present moment. That's what history will remember us for. You know, I know some of us want to cozy up, yes, but don't do it at the expense of Liberia. This is bad. Kofa comes from a place that cries for development. He's going to defend a president who's traveling with a large delegation. You don't think we could use some of that money to build schools in Grand Crew? Even to recarpet their roads? How are we not trying to say the Speaker of the legislature should reduce debates and relegate himself to be the presidential spokesperson? Why is he usurping the function of Kula Fofana? Why does the Speaker feel compelled to be the spokesperson for the executive? Why? Brother, these things cannot be justified on any ground. Let's not do this. You know, I don't want to be, you know, other people want to come in, but what we see happening here is not the change that the Liberian people yearn for. Somebody want to find a subtle justification for the violation of Article 5 of the Liberian Constitution. Remember, Lofa is Lofa. We don't know how many tribal groups in Lofa, but Lofa is Lofa. I'm not comfortable that this government is awash with people from Lofa, with Lofian. I don't think that was the spirit of Article 5. The spirit of Article 5 basically encourages other sector, other areas of the country rearing its head. Samuel Kanya did the same thing that Buaka is doing. It brought the country to its lowest nada. Let's condemn it for once. It can't be justified. LRA, you got double jala from Lofa. You want to call him Kizzy, you want to call him Brandy, you want to do that's your business. He's from Lofa. The guy from the central bank is from Lofa. He's Buaka's nephew. Gafuan, Augustine Pehin Gafuan, he's from Lofa. He's from Lofa. The man who heads our military is from Lofa. In fact, Buaka is even politicizing this military. Besides just tribalizing or ethnicizing the military, he's politicizing the military. The first time in recent memory, when the opposition leader was returning to the country, Buaka deployed soldier people, military men. The Americans used their taxpayer money to restructure that military, to professionalize the military. Why is Buaka doing this? And you trying to justify it here, brother? The guy who is an internal affair from Lofa, he was accused of orchestrating the violence in Lofa during the campaign. Buaka rewarded him with ministerial posts. Are you not concerned about these things, brother? And you try to provide justification that the formula will mean right. That some people are just conditioned to selling evil. People should be ashamed.
Why don't you come in and then
yeah. First, on a general note, I think on the speaker's statement, I have 2 or 3 opinions on this one statement. One is, I'm not sure the way it is being portrayed that's how he made it. I don't think he was like playing the role of Jeremy Pia or Kula Fofana.
I can't see the wife was doing. Let me get water, Musa.
I think he was asked as to what his opinion is when it comes to the president travel, and he opined that you think that is too early to criticize the president on travel, and that the president needed to be out there and travel. So that's how I read it. Now, even that I don't agree with, because for me, and I know Fonati Kofa is traveling, and I know that the travel he's traveling, he's using his own money to travel. I know that. So why he think that Joseph Baga should use a Liberian people money to go everywhere, even if it's not necessary? I disagree. The second thing is, the thing Ben said, and I'm sorry that Ben is not, and if he's on, I would like to look him in his face. Ben, most of us on this show here, we're older than you. And therefore, you represent an upcoming generation of leaders. We will not build this country on fear.
Let me call Ben. to come.
Yes. We will not build this country on fear. And that because Alex Taylor, Edwin Snow, and this person were removed, so Fonati Kofa will follow. That is a very, absolutely despicable position. I don't agree with it. Look, let me tell you something. United Party will never let Fonati Kofa. I don't care what he does. I'm a lawmaker. And I'm in a good position to say that. And I also know that the CDC people in the House are incorporated to a United Party. But there is a time that a leader must stand alone. In life, the first step towards failure is the fear of failure. You should never be afraid. Me, if I be speaker for one day, that's enough. But that one day, I will pass all the resolutions that will change your country. The leggy, when I move on there, they can kind of reverse it. Fonati Kofa should not be afraid, and I don't think his opinion that he expressed and the way Ben is taking it, I don't agree with Ben. And I don't even believe that is Kofa's position. Kofa is a very smart man. He knows that the UP doesn't like him. Being a speaker in the Republic of Liberia is very difficult. Because the lawmakers are not doing anything to represent the interests of their party. All the noise that CDC is making, also, their lawmakers doing the complete opposite in the legislature. I hear today that they've been attacking Kofa, but why they can't attack their own people? They did the whole budget alteration in full collaboration with the CDC people in that place there. Now, is that the Liberia we want, Ben? You just come in. I'm sure you're on your way. You come in start. You come in jump on. Is that the kind of Liberia you want? That I'm going to be speaker and therefore I'm going to toe the president line because the president will remove me. Me, the day I be speaker, you president and myself will agree on how we run the country. And it will be in the interest of Liberian people. I will never sit as speaker if I don't have the capacity to stand my ground and make sure I defend my position as speaker. Because if you speaker and you want to be afraid, no need to be speaker. Kofa is, I'm telling you now, nobody able to move him. To remove Kofa, you need 48 votes. Joseph Baga can't get 40. Joseph Baga did not get the vote that he needed to make a speaker. How can he get twice that amount to move a speaker? He doesn't even care for who is the speaker. Joseph Baga does not see the presidency that way. So for us to say that Kofa will not criticize because you go with Baga, I have to say that that's not the position of Kofa. I know that as a matter of fact. That's not his position. And what we should be pushing here is to push him to take a stand. His position on the president travel, I will characterize that as a misstatement. If he has his view on it, I think he can find a better way to relay that view. I disagree with him. The president of Liberia is traveling too much with no outcome and no benefit to Liberian people. And if that the thing that Ben then carrying around that because Ellis Kelly remove Alex Talon and Macomna remove Tilla one remove Macomna, so cover Moto de land. I am saying right here to the Liberian people that even if cover does more than this, the United Party every day are plotting against him. I say so. So if that is his position, that's a fool's errand. Because at the end of the day, Speaker Jaw is hard to hold. When you get it, take your position, stand with that position. If you lose that position, you save your soul. And history will recall you for what you stood for.
Lofa, go ahead.
Doc, honestly, I would hate to sound redundant because just listening to what Representative Musa Bealded just stated, I'm not going to sit here and try to repeat almost what he said because I am in total agreement with what he just said. And I think Ben and I have had this conversation on numerous occasions where we talk about the possibility of moving forward. And his comparison is often, this is the country that you have, as though we cannot change things about where we find ourselves today because this is where we are. That means we cannot move from there to go anywhere further than where we are. So, I mean, I'm not going to dwell on that a whole lot. And then I'm just going to say this, though. I hear people continue to focus or speak of Representative or Speaker Kofa. Don't we have a saying in Liberia, monkey, the monkey doesn't, The monkey doesn't change a black hands? Do you expect anything different from Speaker Kofa? I don't. I really don't expect anything different from him because, of course, he is in his best interest. It is about him. Like most Liberian politicians who actually are opportune to serve as legislators, they often don't come in the interest of Liberians. Politics is supposed to be about advocacy. If you understand what advocacy is about, you are representing the interests of the masses. Unfortunately, a lot of our politicians don't represent the interests of the masses. They end up being much more of legislators and then taking away from the people and behaving as though the people are to live in their pockets. So when I hear and see what is being exhibited by the likes of Fanatic Kofa and other people who once served in government, I'm not surprised. I honestly, like I said from the get-go, I'm not surprised that he's attempting or he's defending the idea of being wasteful, the wasteful spending on the part of President Boakai and making it sound as though it is, it should be accepted and it's unique. I don't agree with it. I disagree with it. I think he needs to recalibrate. He needs to rethink what he was actually elected for and hopefully use this as an opportunity, to just get back. This is his opportunity. Liberians have given him the opportunity to say, you know what? This is your second chance. The second chance that you may not have been given in the Western world. We are giving this to you because we are very sympathetic. Use this as an opportunity to show to the rest of the world that you are not that individual that they may have shown you to be, or you made a mistake, and you are now using this opportunity to hopefully turn the clock. But unfortunately, it doesn't appear to be the case. He's using this as an opportunity.
Yeah, on a sad note, you know, nothing will change. On a sad note, unconfirmed report we're hearing that the coach for the national team turned in his resignation. The government owed different hotels in Liberia money, thousands of dollars, and the player will beg to play a game with or even the per diem of $1,000. But yet and still, the folks are spending $200,000-300,000 on 1 or 2 weeks trip, and something that you can't even do to help a national team expect them. But it's really sad. It's really sad for that country. I don't think, like Musa said, Joe Biden don't even know what the government is or how the government running, or even the what even going on in his government. So, but the best I want you to comment. You nice about the comment.
You're muted, Sylvester.
I was very clear, absolutely clear, and I remain consistent on what I said. And I was very in the process of the process that unfolded.
Wait, we have a caller in line who want to just contribute something quick? Can we let him please take part quick? Peabody?
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, caller. You're live.
Well, thank you, Tomalin George, and let me say good evening to all of your panelists. This is Eugene L. Fagon.
Oh, Tomalin,
Nigerian Broadcasting System. Tomalin, I listened to one of your panelists. First, let me correct 1 or 2 things. A president takes over a new government that is met in the hole, and you expect him to sit down within the country where there is absolutely nothing. He has to start from scratch. It makes no sense. He has to get out there and lobby and fend for his people. That's why we have 2 overhead.
So tell me that EBC now
to be constructed.
Really?
For a 20 megawatt hydro plant to complement the 88 megawatt we have.
Tomalin, give the man the link to come on. Let him come on and can defend his government. Give him the link. Don't
just call him.
Give the man the link.
Y'all stop
do that.
Don't do that.
All of your pivoting to government now. You man, we changing everything.
Now, one of your panelists said that these people are all from Lofa. When we propagated, we said people were from the southeast. I think what the panelist does not understand is the country called Liberia. Lofa is home to 6 different tribes. He has documented. Let me repeat so he can know that. 6 different tribes Lofa plays host to. The Mandingos are there. The Bela are there. The Kisis are there. The Lomas are there. The what you call them, Mendes are there, and the Palace are in Lofa. 6 different tribes dominate Lofa, but particularly 4: the Mandingos, the Belas, the Gistis, and the Lomas. How can you be screaming on national radio as if to say you don't know Lofa is your biggest county, and you don't know that there are 6 tribes in Lofa, and that's not 16 tribes?
So as a man, so when Joseph Boga was saying you will represent every county, that fire was on his wall.
Can we ask him a question? Can we ask him a question?
Yeah,
ask a question.
Let me finish.
Okay.
So because you can ask me, if a Mandingo man is from Lofa, you will scream, Mandingo man from Lofa. That's where he's from. Isi man is from Lofa. That's where he's from. Bele man is from Lofa. And of course, Lomas from Lofa.
Okay, we got enough time.
Oh, no, let him answer.
I'm telling you.
Let ask him. So, Director General Fagon, the president made a pledge during the campaign that he was going to form a government that looked like Liberia. Every county would have been represented on his cabinet. Why did he break that promise?
Exactly. He didn't say every tribe.
To make a determination that the promise was broken, you will have to name one county that is not represented on his cabinet.
Eugene, really? Eugene, every county represented on the cabinet? Every county is represented on the cabinet?
You guys are giving Eugene free opportunity to come out here.
Is Bapolu on the count? Is Bapolu represented in the cabinet? Ministerial level. I'm talking about ministerial level.
Yeah, let me go to school. I will tell you.
Yeah, but you see, when you ask the question, allow me to answer. You just said, I'm talking about on the super level. Am I quoting you right?
Yeah, ministerial.
Then you're not being fair because it was about the cabinet. It's not superior or inferior level.
No, you see?
My man, Eugene, the president was very clear. The president was very clear. The president said ministers.
You understand me?
You will find out tip. He said ministers.
Cabinet minister is not deputy minister, my friend.
He said ministers. The president was very clear.
Ben, when you use the word cabinet, you're not talking about deputy.
The president did not tell you that superior positions would be given to every county. He said
that's what he said.
That's what he said, Eugene.
You're those lies to the Liberia people.
We will find a tip and you will come back on the show.
Man, the man know that what they post there, man.
Can we get back to our regular program?
I'm not going to run here, busy and leave.
Yes, you will find a tip and you welcome on the closing argument. We will find a tip.
The day that man come here, I will come.
He said he would have happened to appear.
Yes, thank you. Yes. We'll see you on the show. Thank you. All right.
You feel loving?
I see.
Let
the closing argument. You know, we can always track the issue here and say closing argument the other that breast process.
Exactly.
Now,
you're making them somebody be fair. The men called in. There have been situations in the past where people have called in and we've allowed them. I think it's fair. Let the man come on the show.
Not the man, the MP. He's a man.
The opportunity
for the Director General of the LBS. Why are you making me?
Now we
have to find that tip because I remember President Boyka clearly stated that his ministers will have representation from every county. He was very clear.
Yeah. Again, and today I've been issue on this line but just what I said, right? And Fagwan and I didn't really communicate on this process on a serious note. But this is what I've been saying time to time. Now, I'm not part of this. I've been criticizing this administration. However, very clear here. Now, about the process, about the diversity of our county Lofa. I'm from Lofa myself. I'm not trying to defend the president or his decision. But let me go back to what Mr. Jackson was saying. He tried to order news as esophagus just now, right? I mean, he need more water. Yeah, he ordered
the processes.
Yes, he tried to order news as esophagus. He had to run for water, right? So for me, using the word prudent. Now, and I would use the word. Yeah, I would use the word prudent again. I know you.
Let me deal with my esophagus. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine when Jackson and Fagon when they appear happy?
Exactly. That kind of interaction way. Y'all thought remember that kind of show.
Yeah.
Fagon can stand as a Jackson. He can come.
Yeah, the man I say will be here, you will be here, we'll all be here.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I was saying.
They will not miss me.
I said
you'll be the clean.
Who's that you say when I miss you, eh?
No way.
You'll be the clean, my man. How you manage?
I'm back to Liberia tonight.
Mr. Bealded, can I continue now?
Yeah. Yes, sir. You have changed to UP man overnight.
And Mr. Bealded, I think that is unfair to me. You have to apologize to me.
My man, you the best for you, man.
I know. You see the best
I'm not joking you, man.
You see the best I'm YouTube or thought it
I know Mr. Bealded. I know the TV. I know he's joking.
My man, I'm not joking you, man.
I know Chief. But let me say this to you. I don't easily vacillate. I don't easily.
What? You might put.
No. I don't wobble.
Man, you are political Allah. You my political ally.
You know, I always be a ally, right? You know, be a ally before. When I was attacking before, I was going after him.
That's a fact.
Yeah, you know that. But on the most serious note, Mr. Johnson, let me say this. I said it is prudent for the president to represent the country. And I'll maintain that. It is prudent for the head of the country to represent the country. And then I stand by what I said. Now, if anyone will want to believe at this stage that the president foreign travel, and that's why it's in the budget, and that's what we should be holding, and that's what Mr. Bealded, you said something, and I want us to bring this and highlight it. And time to time, we should already amplify this process, because in the very national budget, we have foreign travel and foreign means of travel. Executive mansion is captured. Every land ministry and agency in the national budget, foreign travel and foreign means of travel, right? So we need now to begin the process of bringing the government to account. The account system have to be rigorous so that we know how much in the budget for the president office, for instance, foreign travel and foreign means of travel. If that line item is exhausted, then we begin the process for the accountability process. Now, the legislature got enormous power, but we're not exercising those power. And that's something I want to shift the blame blindly on the executive. And here's what I got the problem. And for my own problem, my intervention will be intellectual. Because if you will sit and pass a budget that because there's 2 line items in the budget in those circumstances. We have to begin the process of assessing those lines and see how effectively the executive is performing in those areas. And are we bringing them to check in the terms of foreign travel and foreign means of travel? Now, so if the president is going with 30 persons and it's not in the budget, do we have a legislature or a member of that body that is trying to query the executive on the bill, call the Minister of Finance, or write the Speaker office, Mr. Speaker, bring the Finance Minister to tell us how many we spend in this quarter on foreign travel and foreign means of travel? That's one of the process there. And I will stop on that line, Mr. Bealded. You will answer the rest of the question. Lastly, the process about the way we consider the governance process for our country. Many of our folks will believe when we come and give our opinion is that we're being carried away by the other side. No. I just mean we have to learn to be very honest in this country. What happened yesterday, that's what something I can remind Isaac, right? Mr. Jackson justified most of those things that he criticizing today when he was Deputy Minister of Public Affairs in the Republic of Liberia. Most of what he's saying today. But this very United Party, the same United Party, he defended religiously, fearlessly, right? So when Madam Salif often travel, he formed part of some of those delegations sometimes. He formed part of some of those delegations. When the trials now were 30, 20, 25, he would justify the trial of the president. He said, we're part of the process of the president interacting with other members of the Committee of Nations to bring development back to the country. That was his amplified tone. Today, he tried to demonize the same thing that's unfolding today. That's the scripted hypocrisy in the process of where we are today in the same line. I don't agree with some of the things that is unfolding in the country. I don't agree with them. But the same thing, you highlighted those things and defended them religiously yesterday, and today you want to put the contrary. I didn't do most of those things. And I always, when I studied those things, I defended. I will tell you this. I will come in here, we need to make statement. We need to make statement. We need to do this. Right? Because and these are the things that will unfold. Now you come to me, you want to emphasize on one word I use, prudent, and I use it strategically and in a more chronological manner. It's not the basis of what we will think in terms of our differences. We may have a shared intellectual difference in terms of our opinion and our political, where side you lean and where side we lean. But trust me, I don't support what is unfolding currently in the government. I believe that there's a lot of opportunity that have not been tapped into. But for the president to travel, I support that. And I believe that the president is not involved in nepotism, because the Article 5 you mentioned quickly. Article 5 talked about the process about promoting national integration and unity, regardless of ethnicity and the rest of that. And the government would introduce some kind of a strategy to promote national unity and the rest of that. The president is appointing people. We have now what the president said. Ben, bring the recording. Somebody just said the president said every county will be represented in my cabinet. What's the meaning of every county will be represented in my cabinet? Lofa County got 6 tribes. Grand Bassa County, I think, if we want to look at that,
I mean, you'll stop doing that, man.
So the basic of every county will be represented in my county. Garguah is like Bandi man. Garguah is in
stop
the cabinet. Sylvester Pewee is a Loma man. He's in the cabinet. That is a fair justification. Every cabinet will be tribe will be represented.
Okay, every tribe be represented.
Every county, not every tribe, every county.
But I got somebody who need to ask with ability of question.
So I believe clearly, I believe clearly on the basis of that is not nepotistic, that is not ethnicity, and that's not tribalism.
Okay. Somebody, let me, Johnny, go ahead. Johnny want to ask a question. Johnny want to ask him the business question.
So thank you, folks, on the closing argument. Just give me maybe 2-3 minutes because we'll take a bit of time for clarity from on ability. So our business spoke about the revenue bills emerging from the representative, which is true. Is it informed the public that revenue bills are considered as the national budget? First point. Now, coming down in Article 34, Roman number 2, honor money shall be thrown. There's a line that says an annual statement and account of the receipt and expenditure of all public money shall be submitted by the office of the president to the legislature and published. Now, I'm bringing these points also to clarify whether it defines budget presentation or it defines revenue. Now, under Article 58, where the president would make his statement to the legislature, the last line they also indicate that in presenting the economic condition of the republic, the report that covers expenditure as well as income. So how can he clarify to us, the public, whether these conditions, the constitution, are now giving the power to the president to present a national budget, or can he clarify what the budget is in the republic? Because historically, they have always been known that the budget derived or emanates from the executive and comes to the legislature for review and all of these, and then finally the president starts the into M bill. So can you please clarify those points that I made, please?
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
First, let me first say that the questions are very educative, and thank you for that, Johnny.
Representative, you mind if we take this caller on the line and then you can just respond? I think.
Okay. All right.
Caller. Go ahead, caller. Emmerich, let's hear from you. Go ahead.
Hi. This is Emmerich. As I listen to people, right, giving support to the act of sectionalism, then he talks about integration. How will you integrate the country, right? How will you bring about unity when you have a section of the country occupying most of the positions on the ministerial level? I don't know how you can talk about integration and you talk about most of the people and you try to justify by saying that Lofa has so many tribes. Let's agree. Let's go back to the Southeast that the outcry in the country when people from the Southeast were being nominated in those different positions, right? Are you trying to say the Southeast only one or has only one tribe? The Southeast, you have B, you have Sapo, you have the Crew, you have the Gribble, you have the Cry, you have different groups, right? But they were highly favored in the CDC-led government and the outcry from the country. And now you're saying because Lofa has 6 or 7 or 8 tribes, so it's right to pick the cabinet from that section of the country. It's nothing to you other than being a hypocrite. And that's really bad when someone like you come on to speak that way. It hurts that when someone like you comes on to speak that way. You are misleading people when you talk about the Constitution in that way. Because the Constitution does not support a section, whether you have 10 tribes, 15 tribes in one county, that's a section. You can't do it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Unfortunately, you are listening, but you didn't comprehend well. Probably.
Thank you. Look,
you didn't comprehend
for
well.
me, on the 2 issues, and I'll just summarize it quickly. On the 2 issues, the issue of the tribe and the county, I think it is disgraceful. It is patriotic for people to defend that. Joseph Boakai never called any tribe name here when he said that he will make sure all 15 counties are represented in his cabinet. He never said every tribe. That's not what he said. The second thing is, I want us to understand that Joseph Boakai knew about the makeup of Lofa County because he got 42 years experience. And yet he said he was going to have a balance, geographic balance in the government. So, you know, when I see Eugene Fakonde, and you know, this is the same thing they did, and they went and defend all kinds of things. Most of them are choked with it now. They cannot go anywhere to do anything, and it's disgraceful. At the end of the day, I have to say that most of the people, at least the ones that I know, that are from Lofa, that were appointed in government, they are very qualified. But Joseph Boakai violated a campaign promise that this country will be on geographic balance. He owes the Liberian people an explanation. Is he saying that there are no other qualified people across the country? Because for every qualified person from Lofa, I can guarantee you 10 or 20 from other part of Liberia. So that's not, whatever reason he has, I think by this time now, they should have a strategic meeting to try to explain to the Liberian people why he's deciding and making the decision rather than being silent. To be silent is to be dismissive. And that's not how you govern. So that's my position on that. On a good question that Johnny asked, Johnny, you made my case easy for me. You see, the Constitution said, the Constitution named 3 things. He said the president will get a program. Then the Article 34, I think, says the legislature will appropriate. Then the other article you name say the president or the executive will report everything that is spent. So that means when Joseph Boakai goes to the legislature in January to say, this is my plan, the legislature by right supposed to take that document. Even though I know nothing is presented to us, I never saw that statement, that whole speech, I didn't see it. But that speech is supposed to include the president's program. Because that his whole agenda for the year. That's why they make it constitutional for him to come before the joint session of the legislature to say, for the next 12 years, 12 months, that's what I'm going to do. And for the last 12 months, this is what I've done. That's why the president is giving the first chance 2 weeks after he becomes president to show the people what he has to do. Now, Article 34I is very clear that all revenue bill, Johnny, the budget is a revenue bill. When you say revenue, the budget is a revenue bill. I have been asking, and I'm asking Professor, my political progressive brother, to look in the Constitution. And I'm telling you, some of us, we didn't come to the legislature with experience. But when we are confronted with this thing, we take the book and research it. There is nothing in the Constitution besides those 3 events. One, the president showing his agenda to the legislature, which include his spending plan, which include all of his activity for the year. The legislature has a budget, and the word is in the National Constitution, Article 34R. He said, all revenue bill shall emanate from the House of Representatives. Originate. When you use the word originate, it will not, that means it starts with you. That's my understanding of the English. This thing we call budget submission it is a practice that has been established to certify the dominance of the executive. There are plenty of things that we don't know, and I'm going to be pushing to clarify it. Do you know that this budget business, the Senate not supposed to play part in it? That very article, it says that the House of Representatives is supposed to do all the appropriation, and it went on to say the Senate may concur. And now that English, when it uses the word may, that means it's not compulsory. You'll read that same constitution tonight as I'm reading the point. It's there. But because we are operating in a way that everybody operating the hair, the legislature, the representative pass the budget, the Senate, they play inside the way they play inside. But by law, except some of them get not reached to that point. But according to the constitution that I read or I'm reading, the House of Representatives send the budget, appropriate it, and send it to the president. If the Senate got recommendation, the Senate, that what the Constitution say, they say the Senate may recommend or they may concur. And by law, as they can attest to that, anywhere you use the word may, it's not force. So for me, Johnny, unless there's something else in the Constitution that I'm not seeing, there's nothing in the Liberian Constitution that say besides presenting his plan of action in January, there's nowhere else in the Constitution Liberia say the president will submit budget to the legislature. I see it. Besides the one that we do here, but on paper, I see it. And I have searched every part of the Constitution. And since we are on radio and on Facebook tonight, those who are on air, they can please check to help all of us to find it. It's not there. And this is what we need to stop. Making laws in our head. Using precedent. Their country, there's nothing we're supposed to be proud of. Nothing is worth repeating in this country. Everything that we have done to run government in this country is wrong. So let's stop using the past as a good example. Let's start thinking about people who are staying long in government as a good reason to gain power. We need to start looking for new people to do things differently. When Ben Sanvee come in the popular order and say that the speaker is supposed to suck up to the president for fear of being removed, I reject that.
But Musa living man.
Hey, let me speak up.
Musa living man.
Somebody I want to say something briefly, then we'll go on. Somebody want to say something.
Yeah, get up, but I think
one person on the line. Guys.
Dr. Peabody, good evening.
Big happy for today.
Everybody call that me now.
Abraham Conner.
Yeah, this is Abraham Conner, man, calling from New Jersey. I just got two things to address real quick. One, it has to do with the issue that Ben Sanvee stated about the situation that he was giving about Snow and Alex Starlo. I mean, the fact remains that Funati Kufa, since post-conflict, he's the first speaker to be elected outside of the opposition bloc.
That's not true.
Directly. It is true.
Let the caller finish, please, sir.
No, about the dialogue. That's not true.
No, but this is bad. Get him mention that.
No, but where's the big hit?
That's slow and independent.
No one from the opposition, man. What are you talking
about? No, independent. You are not opposition.
And Snow was indirect an ally of the Unity Party when he got.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Oh, that's not true.
That's not true.
Alex Starlo was part of the Unity Party government. But the question is that to have an opposition party directly elected a speaker is Funati Kufa. That's one. Two, let me get back to this issue about the regional boundaries of politics in Liberia. The framer of the Constitution emphatically stated that you cannot have a president and the vice president from the same county. That was a reason. Now, if you could come here to argue that because you got 7 tribes from the county, so obviously the county should dominate government,
is not fair to the country. Because right now, as we speak, you got internal affairs, you got education, you got everything for Lofa County, regardless of the tribe. But it's not fair here, because if that was the case, even if a Gisima came from Nima County, there's no way you can have two Gisima as president. So, I mean, let's just be objective here, Ben. I know you argue, but that's the reality. Kofa, he needs to come clean. Speaker Kofa, he needs that's what they call full disclosure. If you have an interest in government right now, like in the case of his madam, he needs to come clean with it. You got to protect it. All right, let me close on that. Thank you, Dad.
Wait. I want to educate Ibrahim really quick.
No, Ben,
was from the opposition. You're the moderator? You're not the moderator?
I said to come in and then go to Robert.
No. I ain't speak yet.
Wait, but
can I take this
Body, let me make some program announcement, right? Okay. We got a confirmation the LBS boss will be on our show, so we'll look forward to his appearance. And also on Wednesday, the CEO of Renaissance Communications, like Bealded, will be our special guest. He'll be our guest.
My son coming out. Conflict of interest.
Yeah, so will not be allowed. But we're having Bealded on Wednesday. The LBS boss will be us before the end of the week. We'll get the exact date, but we don't want to confirm that.
Anytime you give one coming, even that session there,
Robert, go ahead and then ask it. Robert, go ahead.
So I think my father breaking.
Hey, Robert. I said, Robert, can you mind if I just take this caller real quick? Then you can come through.
You see, exhibit your.
Really had a caller on the line, please.
You will say that politics.
Thank you.
Come on, it doesn't matter that you say that politics.
Go ahead, real quick. Go ahead.
Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller.
And you know he can attack Dylan no more.
No.
Lofa can attack
Go
Dylan
ahead.
no more.
You're taking my time, Ben. You get fun to know. I'm at work.
Okay, sorry. I will bring Lofa on the spotlight after.
Go ahead. Other caller, go ahead.
You know, watching right now.
Was going to have a cabinet made out of something that resembles the country. Lofa County having all those places, even though they are different tribes, they don't represent.
Well, who's speaking though? Who's speaking?
The caller said, caller, hold on 1 second. He said his name, but Ben and Robert were talking, so you did not hear his name. So go ahead, caller, go ahead. Say your name.
His name. What's his name?
From Massachusetts. Like I said, the president said that he was going to have a government that represent the country. You can have the 6 tribes from Lofa in different ministries. It don't represent the country. We're supposed to have at least one from Lofa and the rest of the ministries and other state-owned enterprises that will comprise of different counties and stuff. Then you can have other deputies and other places from other tribes and other places. You can't say because Gafon is Wala Bandi, the other person is Loma, the other person is Mende, and blah, blah, blah. So that means they represent different, like brother, the president was talking about. And the president keeps, everywhere he goes, he talks about unity, but fucking one thing, and he's doing something different.
Thank you.
That's a complete contradiction.
Thank you,
so my brother Ben, Konati Kofa is not acting right on behalf of the CDC. He's not acting right. This is the opposition and always dealing with it.
Yeah, but thank you. So let me say this. Ben, you gotta take this. Ben, you gotta take this beating today. You cannot.
Take what beating?
Okay, but then relax more now. You gotta.
What do you mean relax?
You can't come on national.
The CDC people are talking. The CDC people are talking. The CDC people are talking. The deputy speaker.
Hijack the show. You cannot hijack the show. You're not the moderator. Relax. I'm protected. You gotta take this beating today.
Oh, my man, talk. But then you talk. You want to talk. You want to talk.
But Dad, can you protect me, please?
Go ahead. We got 22 more minutes, guys.
Thank you. I mean, Ben always, you are moderator. You can't do the kind of thing. You can't accept the kind of thing and relax.
Easy.
Let me say this, Ben. You gotta stop this. 2029, if you're going to get on the ballot, people like us who's going to support you. You cannot sit on national TV and make our narrative difficult. You can't keep telling us that this is the reality. You always said this is the reality. If this is the reality, what are you going to do differently in 2029?
That's a
to
different
change
question.
the reality. So that makes my point.
But does that say that we don't have the reality?
But no, listen, no. This reality does not have to be accepted by Liberians.
I don't disagree with you.
Okay, but every time you said this is the reality, we have to
remind you.
Yeah, but Ben, the fact of the matter is, this reality cannot be our reality.
Exactly.
This reality cannot be our reality.
I mean, you are an upcoming lawmaker, man. You can't be doing that.
Exactly.
First of all, I have not another running for nothing.
What we want you to say, Ben, is to say, even though we have an issue in our country right now that does not represent what we aspire to be, but we must not settle for this kind of reality. We can't settle for this kind of reality. Let me close on this note. Fanatic Kofa.
After Robert answered them, Ben.
Fanatic Kofa.
I beg you. Let me go.
Fanatic Kofa. Ben. Oh my God, that Ben, man, you're pay fun to
Why you attacking me? You're attacking
me.
I will use the Ben.
Where did you rebut? You always tell us that.
Thank you, yeah, Isaac. Thank you, Boja.
Where did you rebut? I was laughing at you.
Bravo, you can't let it give at that. You won't throw that on me. I'll tell you off your game.
Fanatic Kofa.
Ben is still my chairman, so I will use to him.
Thank you.
Fanatic Kofa is not the spokesman for Unity Party. And I hope I will stop there and give you the opportunity on national radio to take back or rephrase what you said. For you to say that because Fanatic Kofa is on the trip with the president, somehow handicaps him from speaking truth to power is a reflection of what Fanatic Kofa stands for. Number one. Number two, if Fanatic Kofa represents the interest of the majority.
But Ben spokesman for Fanatic. Now you are making it like Ben.
One second. Chairman, when Ben sat on this platform and talked and tried to justify why Fanatic Kofa made the statement he made and make references to other speakers that stood up to the president and was subsequently removed, then again, what does it speak to? So should Fanatic Kofa act? Let's know. Should Fanatic Kofa act the other speaker? Like you said, Fanatic Kofa must set his own legacy. He must stand up to this government. The CC.
Yeah, he must.
When Fanatic Kofa was elected, on this platform, we said what happened that we have a divided government. 80% of the legislature consisted of CDC. And the speaker, we had a whole conversation about this. The speaker was a CDC and not part of the ruling party. And so far, the speaker have not acted as an opposition individual. He must stand up to the president for all of the right reasons, not for the wrong reasons. And even if that means that he loses his speakership, the record will show that
he got to look at that's the fact.
Ben, go ahead.
Okay, let me go ahead. What's that?
Yeah, Ben, retract the statement.
Nobody will interrupt me. Nobody will interrupt me. First of all, I would deal with Musa, Rabo, all of you here. Let me say this.
Who all of y'all?
No, I'm talking to you, Grace. Grace, I'm talking to you. You attack me today. You got me smiling with me. You attack me, Grace. You my Gracie. I will never attack you. Yeah. Even if you attack me, I will attack you privately. I will not attack you publicly. Yeah, you can disagree publicly. Yeah. I ain't want your fire in you, Grace. Yeah. But let me say this. First of all, I never said that we must accept today's reality. I reminded us that this is the reality we live in. And in order for us to fix this situation that we have, we must first acknowledge that we are in this reality. For you to solve a problem, you got to know what the problem is. Sometimes I stand to be corrected. Sometimes I think what we do, we tend to forget that we live in this reality, and we are literally imposing, right? We are literally imposing our dreams and aspirations, right, on the country. Like I say, we all dream of a Liberia where you will have a true divided government, where you will have a national legislature. Let us not forget, let's go to the speaker, right? Like Musa said, I'm not a spokesperson for the speaker. The speaker is often well equipped. The reason I said this was because the speaker is first amongst equals. In many cases, for him to even vote, he has to vacate the speaker chair to go on the floor for him to be able to have a vote. right? What I'm coming from is the reason we were all happy when we said the speaker from CDC was because of the numbers. Was because of the numbers. The CDC currently that comprise of a huge block in the national legislature. What has been the voting record as a block? What has been the CDC voting record as a block? Forget Fonati Kofa. What has been the voting record? Have any one of them stood up? Have there been a unanimous verdict of the CDC legislators in our house condemning the statement of Fonati Bay? Have you heard one member? The ordinary citizens you hear talking. Unfortunately, ordinary citizens don't have a vote in the House of Representatives. They don't. They don't. All I'm saying here is, I'm not saying I don't want to see a strong speaker stand up to the president. No. I'm saying when you're dealing with situations like this, you take steps to be able to accomplish your goal. Well, I would rather see a Fonati Kofa as speaker than to see or what a man that were running for the speaker, the cool guy, right? Because if you think Fonati Kofa just acknowledged the president's trip today or said, you know what, I agree, and the president should be the chief spokesperson for the country, you can imagine what a Unity Party speaker would have been doing. So I don't want you all to attack me to say, oh, I say we must accept our reality. Hey, guys, the last time I checked, I ran against this reality. I did. But you know the difference between me in 2014 and now? I got scars to show. And doing the same thing over and over and expecting another result is the definition of insanity. What I'm saying is, it's the same conversation that I normally have when it comes to political parties in Liberia. Whether we like it or not, like that's where, and Grace, please, and I attack on you. I just sending the disclaimer, right? Like Grace said, we're in a bad relationship with CDC and Unity Party. My argument is
not abusive. Please put it right word.
Abusive. Thank you. Abusive.
Yeah.
Okay.
After we're acknowledged this abusive relationship, what do we do next, Ben?
My man, listen now.
Guys, let's
end it.
Let me end.
Let me
end. So how do you end it? How do you end it when you have 90% of the country voting this one way? You have to figure out a way. That's what I'm saying. I don't have all of the answers. I don't. But we have to find a way to use the carrot and stick approach here. This notion that, oh, we don't accept where we are as a nation and we think we can solve our problems, but we're just relegating it from the fact that, look, okay, no. I disagree with you guys on that. I'm not saying I believe that this thing can be done in different doses. Maybe it may not be as fast as we want it, but change itself don't happen overnight. That's all I have said. I'm not saying we should accept our reality. I'm not saying we should say we must live in this situation. No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I am cognizant of the situation and the reality that we find ourselves in. And so I am treading within that reality. It's almost like I'm walking in a minefield and I'm trying not to get my leg blown off. That's all I'm saying, guys.
All right, let's go to Isaac and then Chairman Bealded will do a closing guy. Then we got.
In closing, let me say that President Bouakar's conduct is violative of Article 5 of the Constitution, and it cannot be explained away or justified on any grounds. That's why people who try to justify it, they soon realize that their argument lack intellectual values, and so they collapse. So was the case with Fagon. You know, he collapsed under the weight of his own falsity that he tried to market to the people. Everybody said, no, the president articulated that, you know, each county will be represented in the cabinet.
But what you
today,
a degree order.
So today, across the cabinet, don't take it from me, that the spirit of Article 5 is being violated was also articulated by a pro-democracy institution in Liberia, Central issue a damning indictment against the Bouakar administration when it said in its report that the Bouakar administration is more tribalistic than though. There can be nothing more damning than this. So you can't explain it away when the people can relate to the evidence in the public sphere. You know, we are here today because of the conduct of the legs of Fagon. Some of our people took the words of proving liars like Dylan to be gospel true. That's why we're here. Some of our people took the words. Some of our people took the words of a self-confessed con artist and an adjudicated criminal like Witherspoon to be gospel true. That's why we are here. Our people took the words of a pathological deceiver like Fagon. That's why we are here. Fagon is nothing but a pathological deceiver.
Absolutely.
This man is married to no principle. You know, so he can come in the public sphere and just spread outright lies and think he can get away by just talking fast. No, Fagon, you're wrong. You can't deceive this audience. This audience is not spoon. This audience is a well-elected audience. You can come and just explain things fast and go. The Constitution is clear why it talks about the president and the vice president can't come from a single county. Why it says it? It's a spirit of the Constitution. That's what we're trying to provide here. So, comrades and friends, listening audience, our people cannot be deceived. For me, what I started with is what I will end with. I love Kofa like a brother. I sent him a text message. I will not talk the private conversation between Kofa and I sent him a text message. I love him like a brother. I think at this stage, Kofa should be concerned about his legacy. He doesn't want to leave that place and people forget that he was speaker. He got to do something. He had to basically exercise the authority provided to him in the Constitution, which is to hold the executive accountable. To hold the executive accountable. That's the legacy. When you're looking for bad example, you go to Nyenwolo Mokomla. I don't want people to point to Kofa as a weak speaker who did the bidding of President Bouaka. I don't want that. I respect Kofa. He's a brilliant lawyer. He has an opportunity to do right by the people. Let him do it. Let him not debase himself to be presidential spokesperson or explain away the president many numerous and fruitless visit or travel. He shouldn't do it. He had to do right by the people. That's how much I can say. If our democracy will be strengthened, it will be strengthened by people with guts, by courageous men who can straighten their backbone and say no, like what John Bercow did in England when he stopped Theresa May and ended Theresa May's government by quoting the legislative precedent that stopped the president from violating the law. The president should be the first to uphold the law. Margaret Thatcher said the first duty of every government is to respect the law. Bouaka is not respecting our laws. He's not. And somebody got to tell him, say, enough is enough. I thank you tonight for having me. I look forward to coming here whenever you want me. You can just send an invitation. If I'm not based here, I will join you. Tomalin and myself talk. I say, look, I'm working with, a place where, I get very, really busy, but sometimes I have the time, I will come. Every time I have the time, I will be pleased to come and discuss about the forward march about our country. I'm passionate about our country. And right now, I'm prepared to go to Liberia to give Bouaka the running for his money. We need to keep a separate conversation with our people to make sure that our people can exercise their right to protest against this thing. This thing Bouaka running is a nightmare. This is a nightmare. This is not a government that's functioning to serve the people. How is Bouaka taking care of the welfare of our people when he prioritizing himself above the people? $1 million+ to buy a bulletproof Jeep for 80-year-old man who trying to kill him? How is that wise? How is that prudent? You empty meaning of prudence when you use it flagrantly. Nobody's saying Bouaka should not travel. I'm not saying that. Musa has not said that. We are saying even if Bouaka will travel, let him do it with a reasonable delegation. 30 people going on a plane doesn't serve the country. No, that's what we're doing. This conversation is a sensible conversation. It's not a propagandistic conversation. I want the president to travel, but look at the delegation he traveled with. Is it sensible for the president to travel with the least high number of delegation? No, I don't think it's sensible. This is my point, and I hope we can all come back here and look at these things and talk with all consideration of any other interest. I don't have any other interest other than to put Liberia first.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's your Bealded.
We are putting our blood first, man.
Well, it's always
My brother Ben, so best in fire tonight.
it's always good to be here.
Nobody is fired tonight.
Let
Let
man talk, man.
It was there's no propaganda here. If we want to go propaganda, we go. We understand propaganda. We will go that trend. We've been through it.
All right.
Everything.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nobody is propagating anything.
Let me say thanks to everybody.
Nobody on fire, Robert.
It was a fascinating discussion. I think it was good. I like for us to, the standard that you have built, to keep it up. It's not easy to maintain it, but you're doing your best. This network, I have to say, represents the fairest and the best opportunity for people to express themselves in this country. It's not easy, but you must try. That also requires that you keep that standard. That means you hold yourself to a certain standards. That also means that you hold people to those very standards that you hold yourself up. So that when they come, they should know that they're not just coming here to say things and get away with it. It's not a bad thing. For me, the opposition does not exist right now, no matter how much you want to talk about it. Unfortunately, the biggest opposition in the country is the CDC. Anybody who try to say anything other than that, you are just in your own world. But that organization is completely removed from the people that are representing them in the legislature. They are doing completely something different.
That's what I was saying.
They sometimes join the Unity Party to threaten their own speaker, which makes his position untenable all of the time. For me, if I was speaker of this place, I can guarantee you that back then they have removed me. And I will have no regret. In life, stand for something. And even if you lose that battle, you save your soul. For the record, I want everybody to know that the district that voted for Unity Party the most in Nimba County is the district that elected me. If I was an everyday politician, I'll be mindful to say that the fact is that that district has predominantly Unity Party people. And let me say something else. No other party have won election in that district besides Unity Party, besides me. All the other representatives in Nimba County District 7 have been Unity Party. As powerful as PYJ has always been, that particular district has never voted for anybody besides Unity Party. I am there and I'm telling you, Unity Party is a bad government. I don't care whether I don't become a representative next time. You're a tender plane to New York in order for me not to be representative. If they make it New York, then I don't have to be representative. I'm not afraid of them. They are running the country badly for fear that UP is predominant in my district, so I may lose my seat. So I'm a mama war. That job that I will mama war on, I don't deserve that job. That job is not worth the life I'm living. We have to be truthful. Today, the president of Liberia has to present his travels to the Liberian people in a way that it shows how that will be effective or it will benefit the country. If you don't do that, the national team coach resigned today, the players don't have money, the hotel not pay. But these 2 trips can take care of that thing and stop national district. And you expect the LFA and the players to go out there and perform when the very players know that there are other people who are not playing football and are enjoying national resources.
Great point. Excellent point.
You understand? And then you say, oh, that for your country. So the other opponent, they're not going to blow in there to die. Only football player must die for their country. But those people could have, that money could have been used to help the national team today. However, if you're going to say the president trip to Rome, this is what he's going to bring to the country, the president is going to pitch for this land. The meeting was a decision meeting where he said the Rome meeting is supposed to be meeting to make approval for budget, and the president himself is supposed to be there to pitch so that Liberia can get what it needs for our agriculture program. They're different things. The board are having their annual meeting and they were looking for a guest speaker. And somebody came to say, we'll get a president. That's not what this country needs. I can tell you, if you enumerate the president's travel, he has exceeded the money appropriated for him under the budget. That's another topic for another day. But what I have to say to all of us,
so
keep fighting.
So we guess we go all over the place like that.
Yeah. We got to keep fighting. We got to make sure that this government today again, and I said to people, Senator Dillon, you get up, you say, people want to declare. I said, my brother, the legislature is sitting now over there. You are very powerful in the Senate. The Senate carry on some kind of system audit. And the audit showed that money was just vandalized. You, Dillon, you haven't said nothing about it. Then you want to make asset declaration. Asset declaration is not important as compared to money, 2.2 million scandal at LTA. Asset declaration is not important as compared to budget alteration that involve almost 20 million. Asset declaration is not important as compared to off-budget spending of over 60 million. Asset declaration is not important as compared to the audit of the national legislature. So if you want to talk about, if you, Dillon, want to talk about it, and I applaud his spirit, his new spirit that he comes with. If he's sincere about it, let him join us to go have a resolution to have the legislature audited. Then I know that he's serious. But other than that, let him get up in front of people here. Because at the end of the day, we will not be fooled. And I don't want to say warning. Then 2024, that the holiday, we will go 2-2 in the new year. We are in October. Today, Dillon was speaking. The law says 90 days to the end of the year, the budget should be presented. Where is it? We're already in October. So that means 15 days gone out of 90 days. 75 more days for the budget. So, these are the things that are not being done. We are in October. The legislators want to have this budget, peruse it, have hearing, and everything on it before passing it and close for the year, so that we can come to a new amen. Who disrupted me like that, man? So that we can come to a new system. You're not doing that. You lawmaker. You don't want to be transparent on anything. You don't want to have audit. Then what kind of moral rectitude you have to try to hold other people outside of the legislature accountable? Until legislature can hold itself accountable, it has no capacity. And that's why the executive play with them, treating them like children, holding their salary and using it to make them to pass all kind of legislature over there. And it will not stop. Because as I speak to you, they hold the people now again for 2 months of coupons and all those things. And then it will bring something else again. They will say you're passing. And we'll give what we owe you, what belongs to me cannot be used, you know. So, gentlemen, I want to warn you on the show. You people, the only hope now. Ben, this is for you. No, I'm very serious. You know, gentlemen, I want you to see the trajectory of this your program.
No, that's true. That's true.
And the popular reaction to it.
Yeah.
You have become the focal point for the people. Please take into consideration the people when you're taking your stance on issues. There's nobody more loyal to Kofa, and Kofa know that in that building there more than me. But I will not take him over Liberia. And his decision to eating whatever he said, because I don't want to misquote him. That's not his place. He's the speaker of the legislature. First of all, it's conflict. Because the legislature is designed to check the executive and the other branches. So you can't speak to their attitude unless it's brought to you. And the speaker opinion, why it may be his personal opinion, he is the head of the legislature. Therefore, his opinion matters. So I will advise him next time when they bring these funny questions to him, let him afford it. Because he cannot make the legislature to feel that, the executive to feel that what they are doing is right. So the boy can't just be traveling all over. You just coming from China with 60 people. You went to America with I don't know how many. You went to Canada. Then you come by again. Then you say you're going to Italy. I was invited to Italy by the speaker. And I declined because I didn't. I was going to pay my own way to go there. But the only reason was that it didn't make a lot of sense to me. And I know he speaker for not to go pay own way. Because, the legislature ain't got money for that kind of thing. There's nothing in the budget for that. So why Baga can pay own way? Say he became president, he has accumulated wealth now. Because his foundation, I see that is doing BBC that he not to do. So you can take money from there and travel. That will be fine.
Mr. quickly, I'll say something about the budget. The budget.
Let me say this to you.
Please.
Some of you people know.
When Chairman Benedict, we gotta go.
Some of you people don't know. But I have an excellent relationship with Joseph Baga. 6 weeks ago, in the discharge of my duty as National Security Chair, I went to his house. I sat with him and discussed country. And where I don't agree, me and him, we can't even talk about it. Because it's not in my hair, it's not in my face. The thing that I agree on, nobody ever in the country here to make me to change on it. Everybody say, oh, that Musa that Joe, when Joe came here and spoke, because they people that they accused of stealing, when he talk here to defend them, I was the first person that went after him. I'm not afraid to do that. But the country is not going the way it's supposed to go. I will try, and nobody should think that I will give up. I came prepared for this job. And they the whole speaker thing. And now in my head, you can be representative and still do like a job. I'm gonna be speaker. The job that God gave me and my people gave to me from Liberia and nothing will pass by me. And I promise the people I will not let them down. I will not let each of you here. You stood by me. Pewee just talking. When I was being insulted, disrespected, you see, I would not let you down. And to not let you down is to stand up to this government. And not just to the government, to the people who have collectively abused this country. And you see opposition and government working together in the legislature. Who is the victim? As Grace said, Liberia. But guess what, Grace? The part that I want you to understand in your statement is that the victims are also perpetrators. Because they Liberian people, they blind, they can't see nothing. When the people come and turn their faces around, they will go and vote. And as long as they're voting with the back of their hair, the same result we get here, we'll get it. So if they want good government, only they can make the change. And you got two parties have monopolized power, and there's no chance. I'm not seeing it of us taking the country from that direction. So until they get tired, we gotta let them go. But some of us will not go with them. That play they carry themselves, will not go with them. We'll stand, and a few Liberians will stand up to change this country. No matter how difficult it will be, few of us. And Ben, you want join, you can join us. You want go join the
No. Let Ben go with them.
So Ben is one of the funniest.
John, your what name?
I want to make sure.
I wasn't following. I was reading something. No.
But I want to make sure that Ben join us.
To do what?
When Barack Obama, to close, decided that he wanted to run for president.
Yeah. Anyway,
he invited only 12 people in the backyard to let them know that you were running for president.
Yeah.
Don't think that change is not possible.
Well, I didn't say that though.
We can change this country, and let's not give up. But giving up is to say that the next election will be won by CDC or United Party. Let us be the alternative to ourselves.
So
and
who winning
the
the next
alternative
election?
to ourselves? Excuse me, Ben, I can be close. I know I'm touching your corn, but let me finish. To be the change, we must look in ourselves and identify something that we are doing differently. If you cannot see something that you're doing differently, that means you are not part of the change. And also to the diaspora community, we're going to fight for you. Because the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia is very clear for absentee vote. The presidency of this country was decided by 24,000 votes. There are more than 200,000 of you out there that, according to our Constitution, you should have the right to vote. Therefore, you can actually decide who is the president of Liberia. That is the next battle we are taking, to change the election law, to make sure that the part of the election that the election law that call for absentee ballot, and we'll work with our brothers from the advanced country, like starting with Europe and America, so that all the money you dumping on these so-called political parties and they're not doing nothing for you, raise it yourself, put a system together that will make a transparent vote possible, and then come, let's present the case to the Supreme Court to issue writ of mandamus on the Election Commission, so that you, Liberian, your money is important to them. But when they say vote, they want to make you outcast. When you come in the country here, they don't even want to look at you. When somebody take your time to say you want to run for representative, they chastise you, they make it on that. If your money, if they vote not for you, they are going to
Take money out of it.
Lofa, what are you running to in Lofa?
So we need to change that. So that you can even stay over there and elect representatives. You can stay over there and decide who becomes speaker. You can stay over there and decide who becomes pro temp. That's why the Jewish community and other communities are powerful in America, because they fight for themselves. You have over 200,000 votes in America. The president of the United States will listen to you. If you put yourself together, he knows that if he doesn't listen to you, the reason why no development coming from America here is because the diaspora community has not stood up for their country. If you stand up to tell America to demand a certain kind of governance, America, knowing that you have vote, America will behave properly. You understand? In spite of the fact that the United States government does not agree with Israel. What did they do yesterday? They sent missile defense system to Israel. Because you know what? The Jewish power in America is heavy. Liberians, you can do that. If you think that the policy towards Liberia is going to change by stroke of the other, not true. Only you can change it. Go to your lawmaker, go to your senator. Make sure that your voice counts and come home. Don't let them frustrate you in this country. Don't let them, because most of you are already, I can see it in your faces, you're already frustrated. You don't want to do nothing with this country. Don't let nobody do that to you. You are defended. I mean, you are protected by the Constitution. But once in Liberia, and always in Liberia, the Constitution says absentee ballot is accepted. You don't vote for it. I never asked you to put money together to give it to me. Put money together for yourself. Put yourself together over there. Hire a lawyer. Come to Liberia. Fight for your right to vote. And then make the budget. Raise the money. And tell the election commission, we will help you put the system you need together.
That would be a difficult venture.
We have a leak audio. We'll play in the next show. Leak audio.
For our country. That's enough for our country.
We have a leak audio.
We can change all the law, but not
involving the VP and PYG.
You will start it, but it can't go nowhere. It will die from the
guys, we don't have time for the closing argument.
From the beginning. We on the ground running. It was time from the beginning. I think we don't have
time for closing arguments. So guys,
I think I was not in the blood. Boy, you're just in the kind of again.
All right, so we finish now.
Yeah. Do the time constraints. We just got to call it a night, bro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I want to say this. I want to say this before.
Listen, because you know what, me, I'm enjoying this conversation. Like I always say,
but we gotta go. Tomalin, close us up.
I can say this.
Like I always say, we've been here, we've been there, done that, and I've seen it.
We don't have time, Ben. We don't have time, man. So
yeah, we got time.
We're having the CEO of Renaissance, Bealded, will be our guest, and then hopefully we'll get a date tomorrow when Fagon will be appearing this week. So we'll be confirmed by tomorrow. Tomorrow, having show tomorrow, guys.
Isaac Jackson, right?
We'll be a big one, ball. And then I think Lone Star won today. 2 goals to 1, right?
Whoa. Don't do that. Stop.
No, but y'all been betting out there. Lone Star won.
No, Lone Star did not.
We didn't win for Drew?
No, they beat us.
Lost. 2-1, right?
Oh, right. And the coach is down with Drew?
Yes, I sent his letter to the LFA. Yeah, he got a goal.
The
coach has no idea what he's doing. Very inexperienced.
Our coach will reject his resignation.
No, don't reject it. He must go. Don't start it. Yeah, he must go. He must go.
That dude is better than any other coach you probably.
No. That's a lie. Diba got a better record than him.
Oh, please.
I
agree.
That's fact. Look
at this. We said, dude, we are not investing in sport.
I agree. That's a different argument, but Diba got a better record than him.
Why are you not investing in sport? Lofa, why are you not investing in sport?
That's why I said we're not investing in sport because we're using the money to buy bulletproof vehicles for President Biden. The worst part about it, we selected the goalpost that facing his house, and that was a bad decision. I
have a last thing to say. I'm speaking directly to the President Waka. As you make a decision for the LDA, the DA position, please, you have to consider Ashra Pewee as one of the head of the DA, one of the guys will be the DA official. Ashra Pewee is prepared He ready for that job.
I shall be a good.
That will be a good pick, President Boyka. Please consider.
What is he doing now? I thought he was a close ally the president.
The idea is that President is ready for the job. He's a U.S. military trained. He was sent by President Salih to train the U.S. here to provide VIP protection for her. He's prepared for the job. When I Astro Pew, Silver Fox. I'm appealing for
Musa, you national security man.
Yes.
Now, recommend Astro Pew, man. Astro Pew will be good for that job.
You'll do a good job. And I saw your brother.
I don't interfere in the president's decision-making process. Whoever he puts there, my job is to oversee that.
Yeah, but at least, I see your man of Vavle trying to slip to push your man D, but
the president actually appointed someone there.
He appointed acting president.
Anthony Saw. He's an acting.
What is this?
The president is weak, very weak man.
Acting. What about
but Musa Berde, yeah, man, Dylan, Dylan, he's the one supporting all of that stuff.
But in that government, we'll
put on. But what Lofa? I can hear Lofa talking about Dylan again. Why?
No. Say here, Dylan spoke.
Maybe Lofa, Dylan and maybe.
Yeah, change.
So all the crimes that Lofa had against Dylan, if it.
That's the fuck kind of guy explain that.
I won't know because that Lofa they change in the country.
I get bet you. If your man call about tomorrow, he will change. If you call about tomorrow, he will change.
Attacking Lofa while he on the
show. Well, me, I will say comment on the Lofa can clarify.
You tell Lofa can come on the show.
Yeah, but Dylan has he's not a credible voice. Dylan is not a credible voice.
No, but listen. In all fairness to Dylan, I listened to his interview today. And he stick by what he said. Like what
man,
how my man, brother, let me say my own bar. Brother, I'm entitled to have my opinion.
Yeah, but why you keep giving him how many opportunities you gonna give him to
Lofa, and he said Lofa, Robert, the man is elected for what? Dylan got to contest on the 9 on his sonny. If he sticks to what he was saying, like Musa said earlier, the vigor that I heard him talk about, he said he tired. He said his baby was in the infancy stage. He couldn't beat on his baby. Now his baby is 9 months old. The baby won't start walking. He can chat. He can deal with it.
Yeah, but Dylan, Ben, you know what's wrong with that statement?
Yeah.
So Dylan is telling us now that the 100-day delivery money will forget about it.
That's it.
I don't think we should. That's my point. I don't think we should.
From the time the baby was born, let them report what happened.
I agree with you. I think.
And by the way, Dylan say he's still giving the money to Monserrato. It's been spent towards the rehab center.
Where's the report? I can't take his word for it.
He said he's still giving the money.
There's the thing. The thing about him is because he lies so much, it's difficult to believe anything he says. That's the problem with him. So
until he Uncle Pete, diaspora TKRL. Uncle Pete said you'll be a vice president.
I am focused on the legislature for 2029.
Well, Uncle Pete, you gotta find different vice president.
I
said, but Musa declared.
I will support you, but I want to be vice president. Vice president at that job. You can't do nothing. Just sit down I want work. No, that job, not job. I don't want it. I declare air already.
VB already says your job.
One different legislature. It was different House of Representatives.
But Ben, you got to get on national radio.
Remember,
no, those are legal. You on record. They'll rewind these tapes.
Oh, what do we rewind? What did I say?
Somebody say you got leak audio.
You got leak audio.
Who?
The PRJ and the VP will put it in that show.
Oh, the people.
Really?
I said, as a representative.
It's not true. My country is in good shape.
I said before the government accept the coach resignation, please let them pay RRJ and Colonial Hotel. They own those hotels, and the airline. They own the airline a lot of money.
Robert, how you know? You in America, how you know, Robert?
I mean, I got sources, but it's the fact. It's the truth. That's the reason why the national team came in the country on Sunday evening. And they played it on Sunday. They played the game today.
Oh, for
because the airline, the airline could not issue tickets
Would they arrive in Equatorial Guinea on Sunday?
No, they left Equatorial Guinea on Sunday and arrived in the country Sunday evening and played the game Monday. So they had no time to practice.
Where the Guinea playing in the Guinea beat our brother playing in Monrovia today?
Yes, today it was a return leg.
So they beat us in Monrovia today?
They beat us 2-1 in Monrovia today and 1-0.
Where you were at today?
But Tomalin, you're not calling you.
Yeah, they beat us. The team flew in Liberia on Sunday evening, play on Monday evening. Because the airline refused to issue ticket until the government paid part of what they owed them.
You know, I get that credit. When the president that was successful in football, the man carried out to the Cup of Nations twice, right? You know,
Who charged that?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I know he ran one time, 2000. We went when we went to South Africa in 1996. Or the interim government. 96, South Africa 96.
And then 2002.
Yeah, on Charles that was the 2002.
Under the progressive regime.
That was
the African Cup.
That was in Mali. That was in Mali, but we were
the progressive regime by Amos Sawyer.
So what is it? Musa, what is it?
That's the progressive were there, Ben. I know you a small boy, Ben.
Musa leave people, man. What made Amos Sawyer regime?
Musa, what is it?
There was a progressive.
I'm a real regime,
What is it?
But Ben, you don't know who are the progressive Liberia. That means you don't even know Liberia political history.
That's what I say. Your regime was a real regime.
Whatever it is, the progressive that
our regime,
the politicians that took government, went in government and left government, they never had anything, they never built mansion, they lived common life after leaving government. Only those people.
And
no other group of people did that. All your men and I in government.
No. That's what Prince Johnson said. Prince Johnson said y'all had a bank vault key. Prince Johnson said it. He said he get it.
Comment.
He said he get. Oh, you said don't comment.
Yeah. Another bit, Mr. Bealded, another thing folks say on a more serious note, that the interim government under Dr. Amos Sawyer wouldn't do a check record. They were one of the most corrupt administration.
I saw your son now.
No. It's not about that. Listen,
you know that cannot be true.
1 minute, Mr. Bealded.
That is same propaganda that Unity Party they did to CDC. That's what they did. That's what they did that time against that But these are the people, the Garguah Matthew, the Amos Sawyer, the Tipote went into government, served high level. Who they are, man? Something wrong with it, man.
Give me a.
Yeah, but can I have my thing better?
Look, I'm working always say that.
Musa, pick coming after the show. Musa, national security meeting for the strategy room. Coming after the show.
Really?
Good night.
Oh, I see.
I'm being told to leave the.
Yeah, my man. Yeah. You're not causing enough trouble today. Yeah. And we are convening a meeting at the strategy room. Please check.
Yeah. So Ben, wait, Musa, where we go? Ben stay in the party.
What do you mean I'm staying in the party?
But as a man.
Why you asking Musa?
I have nothing to do. I'm not the party.
So Ben, so you still in the party?
Of course, I'm a member of the party.
So who the chairman now?
Rookie Barrett, the acting chair.
Rookie Barrett, chairman.
Boy, you the party now?
You want me to put your leader, right?
No, pending.
I've been there. I'm not worried.
Musa is suspended for you reached the red ball.
I beg you. I left.
Not bad.
Musa.
Suspended for he reached the red ball.
No. Listen. We are having some reconciliation meetings happening now.
So Dylan, your minister suspended?
In the next couple of days, the party will be making a
still haven't paid their dues. They haven't paid their dues.
In the next couple of days, the party will be making a statement. Forget it. That's all I can say.
They have to, and make sure before you reinstate them to pay the outstanding dues.
My man, wait a minute. My man, we reunited the party. Even Musa, we're bringing Musa back.
I beg you. That part of my life is gone.
No, I see you, man.
All right, bye.
We are joining party, yo. With our party coming. Our party coming 2027. With our party.
We party, you get Dominic.
Our party coming. Our party coming next year. You see our party.
And you know what I can enjoy the citizen and be clapping for Musa. I'll tell you, say.
The man I do we are UT. And they get flipped.
All right, guys.
Chairman, we'll see you.